Okay, what's up, everybody? It's Francisco here, and I'm joined by my buddy Charles. It's just the two of us here for Sports Goofs number 151. Andrew, if you look on the video version of this, you'll see that, well, we're inundated with rain because there's a hurricane on the way to Florida. Not on our side, but it's headed onto the, west coast of Florida for now. We might cut across the state. We'll see. We're almost there. It's almost time. But, so we're dealing with that. I got Mario Tennis for the N64 in the background to have, just there if you guys want that. And yeah, Charles, how's it going? How you doing?
It's good. I am being a typical Floridian and not caring by the fact that since when I heard West Side instead of East Side, West Coast, East Coast, I'm like, all right.
Basically.
I'm here.
Yeah, as soon as that happens, it's like, all right, I'll just, I'll buy a couple things just in case. But you're basically like, okay, maybe if it's any, really, we're just going to get the rain for the most part. We're not going to get the winds for the moment. What
I do love, and it's kind of sick to the degree, we're a very dark generation. There's always a dark humor, dark meme, dark everything that comes into it. Even more so, I feel, when it comes to natural disasters, because the memes have been popping about how true Floridians are staying out line waiting for their pub subs, get it to go, get their day drinking all set up. And this is why I feel like Florida gets a bad reputation, not because we're reckless with natural events. This entire country was reckless with COVID, so I'm not going to put that. It's the fact that we have a very blasé behavior of wanting to get drunk during the day and getting fat. We can buy public subs and chicken tenders any day during the week.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we make a very big event out of it to where we're going to get hurricane cakes, chicken tenders, public chicken tender subs and everything in between, and then alcohol on a Wednesday.
Yeah. Trot out the grill right before it hits, cook that meat that you're...
It's
that
so
you haven't
strange
cooked in
to
a
me.
while,
Yeah, it's so foreign, because if you had a character study of other nations, if we had Peru look at us, they would just be like, what the hell is this nonsense? And they would think that we're strange, and I couldn't blame them. I'm sorry. If I had my ancestors coming in, looking at it, I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know how to explain this to you. This is just who we are now.
That's how we deal with things. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just who we are.
Andrew's not here. Unfortunately, he's having spotty electrical issues, so got an empty chair back there. So we're just gonna move on. Just the duo for us, and I mean that means we can kind of go ham on NFL. We can go ham on.
It's gonna actually be a sports show.
Yeah, maybe. We'll stop getting tired at some point, and then we'll just we'll talk about gaming and stuff. We haven't talked about that in a while. I watched Hunt for Red October, which I'm sorry for Andrew not being here, because I actually watched his favorite movie of all time, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if you saw it, Charles. Have you seen it? I'm assuming you saw it.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I was not held in a closet like you were. Sometimes I know Andrew was sheltered, and then sometimes I know you were sheltered, but you were sheltered by choice. Your ignorance shows.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it did. I mean, I think it's the way your upbringing too. Like I'm from an immigrant family, directly, first generation type of thing. So sometimes you're still trying to acclimate yourself, to the American ways, and we did in some aspects, but in other ones, no, not. I mean, my dad's the one that watches a ton of movies now. He watches a bunch of movies on HBO and stuff like that. They got all the channels.
My thing is, that movie's been out since 1990. Were you not 8 years old, just streaming through on a Saturday? You just cast Sean Connery in his worst, terrible acting.
The funny thing is, I was in the magnet program at my high school for TV and film.
Oh my God. Yeah, and that is what is considered to be a seminal thriller. I wouldn't call it a spy thriller, even though some people want to.
I wouldn't say that. It wouldn't say it's a spy thriller. It's more, it's a suspense. Yeah, it's a drama, suspenseful. I enjoyed it. Sean Connery makes me want to play Metal Gear Solid. Because it reminds me of Big Boss.
And can we just say, if you want to talk about how people feel cultural appropriation and movie stars work into it, and how it's been bad now, it was bad 30 years ago when a man from Wales with an accent as strong as that is basically playing. No, he's from Wales.
He's Welsh? Okay.
Yeah, that he's playing a Soviet defective.
Yeah.
In the worst, I could do a better Russian accent.
Yeah. You had two British guys. You had him and you had Sam Neill. There were a bunch of people in that movie.
actor though.
Yeah, Sam Neill looked like frickin'
Oh no, he is Scottish.
He
Why
looked
am I
like
thinking
Ocelot.
Welsh?
He looked like an inspiration for Ocelot from
He is Scottish.
MGS3.
Why am I thinking, or was he born in Scotland and then moved to Wales? Because I know Catherine Zeta-Jones is from Wales.
I thought
know
he
the
was
movie
Scottish.
they did.
Listen, he's Scottish, right?
Okay, I probably screwed up. I
I'm
probably
not
screwed up, and I'm thinking about somebody else coming
Maybe
into it.
different
So,
actor.
and I should know
different
because
British
I share,
actor, maybe
I
Christian
share a
Bale or
birthday with
something.
him.
Yeah.
No, Christian Bale's Australian. People love to remind you
I
that
thought
Christian Bale's Australian.
Okay, all right.
Well, my bad to my birthday legacy of I don't know why. Maybe I just had a brain fart as you get older. Now I'm gonna have to go on to like famous Welsh actors.
But there were a bunch of people in that movie. Like it was him. Sam Neill was in that movie. Frickin' James Earl Jones was in that movie.
Yeah,
that's a studded cast there. There's some other guys too. I can't really
so
think
there's
of
a
it
whole bunch of people that I found out that are from Wales, and none of them, for whatever reason,
are actors.
was that man. I know it was Catherine. I think you want to know why, because I was thinking of Catherine Zeta-Jones and him in the movie Entrapment, which is fantastic. But yeah, so like I understand people's anger is now. Even though I still don't understand how you can say we're mad because a Little Mermaid's black. Just say what it is. You're happy. You hate the fact that there's a black girl cast into it. Where it's a mermaid, a literal fictional character. I'm angry that she doesn't look like Squidward out of anything.
The worst thing that I saw was like people comparing the outrage of the Little Mermaid to like the outrage of the first Sonic the Hedgehog design.
So can I say something to this?
Yeah, but Andrew's not here. Our moral compass isn't here, so we're laissez-faire here now.
If y'all are complaining about Ariel being black, there's two things you could do. One, you could just watch the animated film and just leave it at that. A lot of the times the Disney movies are not superior live action versus...
None of the live action stuff have toppled the original stuff. I would say like their 90s live action stuff, like they did 101 Dalmatians, which was, stood on its own.
Fine.
And they also did they did the first version of the Jungle Book that was live action.
I remember that. They had the guy who played Luke.
Yeah, and it was like a serious version of it.
But that was before Disney became what we hate. Look, I'm telling you right now, I wish Hurricane Ian destroys Disney. Predicting right now, I have such for the big corporate machine can't do it. Anyway, bring it back to the main point. No, I don't want anybody to get hurt. Obviously, I just want to. I never got to ride Neverland, or the Peter Pan ride. So now I just want that vengeance. But if anybody's complaining about Ariel being a natural redhead, I want none of you human or not redhead, a black person or a white girl. I want you guys. I want every person who's complaining about male or woman. You from now on are prohibited for the rest of your life to ever dye your hair, to change any aesthetic feature about yourself individually. How many real redheads do you know? First off,
nope.
First off, every man who gets a little bit of trouble of the whites, they want to go that you want to get that that dark color. Shit, you can't even do Rogue anymore because you are no longer looking like your original feature self. Sorry, you want to get the Invisalign? Not on my watch.
I think people don't even realize, like people are stupid, that they don't realize that. Like this is literally just it's like a Scandinavian fairy tale or whatever.
Yeah, Hans Christian Andersen.
Yeah, but like it's a fairy tale. It's a the original one's bad.
Died.
Yeah, all those stuff from like the 1800s. Like it's like you're just gonna die. It's about life and death. It's about realness. But like the Disney stuff, it's all public domain. So you know what? If y'all are so pissed off about it, make your own version.
But that's what pisses me off when it comes to people complaining about recast or new. I can't even call it recasting because you're not going to.
It's a new version of this tale that's already more than 100 years old.
You literally give the sense of that you have ownership over what that role ought to be, and it makes no sense. The only thing I can give you is that if there was a live action movie that's getting remastered soon enough, and there's certain movies but you let Spider-Man comes in each time, but this sense of like ownership on the movies themselves is what I can't really get behind, because for me, I think it's just silly how y'all really didn't get outraged. And you know who I feel bad for? The actresses. I don't know the actress's name. I'm not up in the times of who they cast because I already know. When I heard live action, Little Mermaid movie come out, I said I'm not watching it. That was literally me coming into it.
After Lion King, it's like you just got to stay away.
But what the funny part is, The Lion King was literally a shot-for-shot remake. of like the
Not
live
exactly,
action.
but
It
like
felt no the
like,
bad. No, here's the thing with Lion King, and we're gonna say it right now.
Hmm.
As much as I like Chiwetel Ejiofor as a actor, if you already got back, and we spoke of him, James Earl Jones to be Mufasa, why couldn't I get Jeremy Irons? He could have carried that tune a lot better than Chiwetel did in the Be Prepared, which is like my third favorite song from The Lion King.
Yeah.
With this sense of ownership, and I don't lose sweat over it when I'm like, oh, they didn't recast James Earl Jones? Oh, not James Earl Jones, they recast Jeremy Irons? Okay. You get angry for nothing because it goes back to where we're at this time, and we'll relate this to sports too, where everybody's a tough guy behind the screens. But catch me saying that rough, because you don't have that casual conversation at your local Chili's 5 beers in where someone's brave enough to say, I don't know why they cast an Ariel of that person, or why am I doing a Southern voice? I don't know. I'm just. It could be anybody because it's been more than just Southern people that are aggravated by this.
Do a foghorn leghorn voice.
Let me tell you guys the slippery slope of this conversation. And damn it, we're going into this because there's racism in sports too, so why not? The slippery slope that everybody out there talking in public about how they truly feel of it, it's not so much that it's a slippery slope of opinions coming out and everybody have a different understanding and they think that the woke agenda is being assigned roles and everything. It's two things. It's the slippery slope for the people complaining about is the show that you can't really hide your racism and predatory discriminations as well as you think you can, part one. And then part two, it should make you really aware that Hollywood and the entertainment industry personally walls out people of not just one specific color, but all colors, nationalities, ethnicities, and personalities if it does not fit the image of what they think will go to the people like you who are going to pay for their shitty movie.
Nobody got pissed off at this when they remade The Nutty Professor.
No. Well, because it was a superior movie.
Yeah.
I think people just got pissed off at the Shaggy Dog because they realized they had to pay money to see Tim Allen. That's like my running joke that I just don't like Tim Allen.
I'm just saying it was a formerly white character that's played by a black man in the next movie, 40 years later. And it's like, and none of y'all remember the 1953 version.
Really, if anything, this should just get you guys excited for like multiverse stuff. As far as I'm concerned, what you can do is have the original Ariel come in as one of the another like an elder. You can have that like play an elder member and have a sing off. That's cool because that's cool homages to me. But it's got to be all or nothing with you people.
Yeah, but it's at the same time, it's like the lack. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this Little Mermaid. It's just me with the live action Disney remakes are just kind of like.
I think the biggest travesty is that no one's talked about casting. You cast the best suited actor or actress for any film. That's my personal belief. I think the biggest travesty, and maybe it's because of fandom that I have for this particular actor, you have not casted the perfect Prince Eric. You know who the perfect Prince Eric would have been? Henry Cavill. And you haven't done it. That's how you should be out. That's how you should be outraged about anything. Where you go and you view people, you're like, oh yeah, let's go from there. And you look at a person like, this is how Prince Eric was directed. Because to me, maybe I'm blind a little bit, but I do think that the actress has the essence of what Ariel looks like. But to me, any man that is casted that doesn't look like Henry Cavill ain't my Prince Eric. And I don't care about that. All I care about is Ursula. Let's be honest here. Are we really going to see it for Ariel? No, we're going to see the sassy woman who likes to make deals and has flows and jetsam. Because Ursula's like my spirit animal. And I wish Andrew was here for this because he's a big Disney nerd too, isn't he?
But he hasn't seen some of the Disney stuff. He's literally admitted on the show. So,
people make up lies of how many people they've dated.
Yeah, well. Oh man. So yeah, I have no idea where we're going with this.
If you put on my bingo card of 2022, it wasn't going to be Charles and Francisco have a very passionate forum about
The Little
Mermaid. I don't know why I led to that. I think it's because this is what happens when I go on social media right before we start the show. Because there's that, and then the whole Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's coming back to join into it.
Are you kidding me? Is that happening? Really?
Yeah.
I thought Logan was it.
Perfect. But that's kind of perfect because are you really? What are you really? That's all about
too much money left on the table, and Disney was like paid up to
the character.
I like Hugh Jackman. So, that's fine. I could see he said, no, I don't want to play the role no more. All right, Disney throws out a big fat check. He's like, okay, I'll do it. Even just like a cameo thing.
But it's going to be him. And originally the plan was like a road trip movie, right? And of him and Wolverine. My problem is, we talk about perfect castings. I in theory, I'm okay with him for coming back for one last ride because obviously the actor that you want is not going to be there
Yeah.
for a Wolverine.
And it doesn't.
He is truly synonymous.
Yeah, it's true, and it doesn't mess with that X-Men trilogy Logan timeline.
They're never gonna make an X-Men movie. Disney is never going to make an X-Men movie. You want to know why? Because they've had the licensing rights for a couple of years. They've had this implant, and they realize we don't have shit to do. Oh no! And that it is a destruction.
That trilogy really did
the sextology or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And
that's right. I keep forgetting about the newer.
And they were fine. Dark Phoenix was just average. Part of the problem is too.
Freddy. So I don't know what's going on.
What's up, Freddy?
Yeah, he says there's no video. I don't know what's going on. With
Twitch.
I
don't have a video on.
On Twitter, we do have video. I see it on Twitter, but for whatever reason, the last couple episodes on Twitch, we've just gotten audio and but after the show is over, the video does show up. So I don't know what's going on with that. It's on the thumbnail of the show, it does show up that we're we're appearing and everything.
Yeah, it says we're live, and then it'll play catch up, Freddy. That's what I see.
You can check out our Twitter. That's probably where you can see the videos of it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to watch the video because we're not really showing much on the screen. It's raining in the studio, but whatever. And Andrew's not here because he's got spotty electricity right now with the storm coming in. So, but man, what was
Hugh Jackman?
Yeah, Hugh Jackman. All right, yeah, exactly.
It's related to sports because what happens is you have quarterbacks. This example. Look how big a segue this. Tom Brady. Tom Brady leaves the New England Patriots, but life goes on. Cam Newton. Cam's not my quarterback. He's not this and this is Mac Jones.
Yeah. Then we got A-Rod and Barry Bonds wanting to come back for one more go around. And I honestly could see Barry Bonds being a DH.
I would pay for it a little bit.
I'd pay for. I stick Barry Bonds on the Marlins. Have him come back. Don Mattingly's leaving. So
yeah, for the fandom, I do it. I don't need to see A-Rod because I know he was literally limping to the gates, not even be able to hit with a wiffle. The man couldn't hit a wiffle ball.
Y'all took the steroids away, and he just started deteriorating after that.
Yeah, it was just game over.
Yeah. Oh man. I guess.
What an interesting startup.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care about It's actually a very overrated Disney movie, but that's the hill I'm dying on.
Yeah. All right. So what was? Oh yes. Okay. I went to Coors Field. That's what I did. I went to
go straight to it. All right.
Yeah. We'll just go right into it. We haven't talked about baseball. It's probably the closest thing we're going to talk about. Yeah. Cleveland, the Guardians made the playoffs, which I'm actually happy about.
I think it's very good because, here's my question. Because since we're talking about Cleveland, is there anybody else who's really AL Manager of the Year except for Tito? Because no one. All I said was that Minnesota and Chicago were overrated. I thought Chicago would get there, but you got to give that man his flowers, right? Because
youngest average age team in baseball.
Only two big names that I know of on there.
Yeah,
their studs ain't even doing stuff.
Jose Ramirez and I know a couple other guys.
Not Bauer. The pitcher.
The
pitcher is.
And then there's one other guy who was on the Marlins or in their system before. And
I know they have Carlos Carrasco still there.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm happy for Cleveland. I called it. I was like, because people are like, oh, the White Sox are going to run away with this division. I'm just like,
who?
Did you all see? When? Did you all I was comparing them to last year. I'm like, the White Sox won their division, but every team in the division was all right. I'm like, every single one of these teams could literally win the division the next season because the White Sox didn't do anything.
Is it bad that I'm loving the fact that Minnesota blew it?
Yeah, Minnesota blew it. Carlos Correa is going to opt out of his contract. He's kind of already sort of indicated that, so he's out. He's a one and done in Minnesota. The Twins just kind of screwed the pooch. Really, they were leading the division at one point. I think every single team except for Kansas City and Detroit. KC and Detroit kind of just play to, I guess below expectations, but are still rebuilding mode for both of them. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, fine. And Cleveland
KC just blew up their guy who helped formulate their 2015.
But I saw nothing. Yeah, I saw nothing about Cleveland that was oh, they're gonna falter. I'm like, they still got Terry Francona. They still got these young guys. Jose Ramirez is their superstar, and he's pretty damn good. Their pitching wasn't that bad. I was like, this team could still the White Sox. Last season, like they had everything go right for them, but honestly, they were that like
Mismanaged.
yeah, mismanaged that, and there was nothing about them that seemed like, all right, these guys can go on a run.
Yeah.
They just didn't have that it factor. Yeah, you can win 95 games, but they didn't have the it factor for me. So it's like, okay, this season, all right, Cleveland. Now, the Guardians merch is moving now because now you gotta buy that stuff if y'all been holding out because they just won their division again. So, it'd be funny if they went on a run and won the World Series. And you're just like, okay.
It's one of those things like, how everybody, you're all legitimately okay with, I was like, remember the year when it was Kansas City and Texas? No, not Kansas City, Texas. Kansas City and who did they play?
The Mets?
Yes, the Giants. Mets. Kansas City and the Giants, where Kansas City won.
Oh, against the Mets, yeah.
Yeah, that happens, and you're just like, yeah, this is fine.
Yeah.
That's how I feel legitimately sometimes with it. And it's like, it's just perfectly okay. And It might annoy people to a degree, but I know it sounds weird, but if you truly care about sports, you care about the small teams winning too. Because that's all you hear, especially baseball. All the big teams overachieve, which is actually true. You don't want anybody from the NL to win this year. You don't want the Mets to win it, who overspent on old men who are injured.
No, I don't want the Mets to win it, the Dodgers.
You don't want the Dodgers to win it, and you don't want the Braves to win it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the Cardinals are probably like the default, like, okay, they've already got. Yeah, they got the second most championships anyway, so it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and so
Pujols' last year, Molina's last year.
It has that stuff. And then you look at the AL, you don't want the Yanks to win, even though we weren't even the highest of the payroll. I think it was Boston, if I'm not correct, or I'm not mistaken.
Maybe?
Even though
that'd be funny if it was, because they got eliminated.
Well, remember, the whole thing was we're going to shift out dudes, so we don't have...
MLB payroll 2022. I'm going to just look this up real quick.
Yeah.
Let's see. Dodgers, then Mets, then Yanks, then Phillies, Padres, and the Red Sox are at 6. So you guys still... The Mets spent more than the Yanks, so you guys are third this season.
Sure, yeah. We go from there.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
But yeah, the Red Sox didn't make the playoffs, and they spent the 6th most, and the White Sox spent the 7th most. And didn't make
the Padres is the one that cracks me up.
The Padres are hanging on. I mean, they'll probably win one of those wild card spots at this point, unless they fall apart, which they could, because I think they still got the Dodgers and I think the Giants, who, I mean, they're bad this year, but they could still, I think they still got it in them to like screw over San Diego. That's fine.
Yeah.
Milwaukee's got an easy schedule for the most part. They've got, I think St. Louis is like their only hard team, and then they got the Marlins and like Arizona or something stupid like that. And then the Phillies have, I think they got like the Cubs, and I forgot what other team they got. Maybe Atlanta. So there's only like 9 games left for most of these teams at this point. So really, it's like whoever loses more than 2 games in a row is gonna be out of it, I think.
I hope Philly ends up getting. I hope whoever's the interim manager, because remember they fire Sweet Joe Girardi.
Yep.
Whoever ends up getting out of it really gets to retain that position, because you know how managers are, or organizations are. You can have somebody replace and like, thank you for getting us this cups of relevance, but we're not going to proceed with it. So that's the thing where I'm kind of like, all right, what are we doing here per se?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah, review of Coors Field. So yeah, on Friday, I took a trip with my dad to Denver, Colorado. First time I ever went to Colorado. And honestly, I'll give my assessment of Coors Field first, and I'll give my assessment of Denver after that. But I think they're kind of one and the same, to be honest. So Coors Field, nice baseball stadium. Very nice. It felt like a baseball stadium. I got to commend them for that. I was roasting the Marlins on Twitter while I was reviewing Coors Field on my Marlins history account.
As you should.
Yeah, and I was basically like saying like, they got this and they got that and they got this, and like Marlins Park, like you've been there, it kind of feels like, okay, fine, there's a baseball field in the middle of it, but it still feels like it feels like an empty mall.
Partially out of place, yeah.
Yeah, an empty mall, partially out of place. It has nothing going on around it. Like you just got Abuelo and Abuela's house right next door. Like that's all you got. And then that, like, inside the ballpark, they've it's like they've got some things, but it's like nothing really stands out. There's no real playing into like their history of like, hey, we won 2 World Series. It's we've had all of these players, that have played here. As much as like the Marlins don't hold on to players, they still got guys that came by. Like, they still had guys that were significant, that did things, that won awards, that got Silver Sluggers and batting championships and all that stuff. So, but there's no real acknowledgement of any of those accolades, except for like maybe like 5 or so things that I can like recall off the top of my head. But even then, they're like not really in your face about it. So it's like, we've got so little to celebrate that why don't you celebrate the so little that we have? Well, the Rockies, they haven't won a World Series. They went to 1, and then but they throw out everything that this guy won Rookie of the Year, and it's like they got their names hanging all over the place. Oh, remember this guy? Remember that guy? I'm like, oh, yeah, both teams are the same age. But yeah, though the ballpark felt like a ballpark. It's huge. It's a huge ballpark. I think it seats like 40K. So we had seats all the way up at the what they call the rooftop, which is like a bunch of seats in the upper deck and right field that they gutted out. Mm-hmm. And then they just added a bunch of bar, like a big giant bar and like a smash burger thing and all kinds of stuff there. So like that's where we were sitting initially, because I wanted to like get mile high seats because they got it's a mile high. And then like before I went to the ballpark, I went on Reddit and asked like Rockies fans, hey, what's good to eat at the ballpark? And they kind of gave me some suggestions, but like nothing that stood out to me inside the ballpark. And then one guy just sent me a message, hey, I'm not going to the game today, I got 2 tickets, you want them, the club level? I'm like, hell yeah, thank you. So yeah, we upgraded basically. So I basically got my tickets for free. I got like my tickets were like $30 each, and I think those club level seats were probably like at least 60 each.
Yeah.
So we basically, I won out there. So yeah, me and my dad enjoyed that. They had fireworks after the game. The game went to extra innings. The Fraud Rays lost to the Rockies, so that was fun to see. Juan Soto actually hit a home run. Had a good game for once. He's still hitting 240, so not really the best there either. But what was it? The thing that disappointed me the most was they have no food selection there. It was not good, Charles.
I mean, are you shocked?
Like every single one of the concessions, they had different names for them and all that stuff. And maybe there were like a couple too, and they had like the kiosks. But for the most part, after like every 3 sections, you saw the same things repeated. Okay, you got a lemonade stand, you got beer here, you got some people, they have like a cocktail thing there, and then you got the hamburger, you got the hot dog, you got the fries, the chicken tenders, and really that's it. That's it. And then you went over and you saw it again, and saw it again on the screens and all that stuff, and I'm just like, what is happening here? Like, you guys have anything to show off to, and then on the frickin' buffet list, right? The food list that we were going through, the bracket. And I was looking for the frickin' Elvis shake. But apparently, because it was fireworks night, they closed off the entire left field stands, which is where the only Elvis shake stand is, and I couldn't get it. So your premier thing that you've been promoting, and you can't go there. Like, and it was just on the concourse, it wasn't like I was going to go down and sit there. So I don't know. It left a bad taste in my mouth. Me and my dad got burgers at this thing called Smash Burger, like in right field, which was, I mean, it was fine. It was probably better than the default burger that they sell at the normal concession stands. But there was nothing really great about the Rockies food. And then I said that this was kind of like Coors Field was kind of like the same as Denver in general. Denver is like, it's all right city, like, but there's not really much to do. There's not much
You're
to
just not
see.
impressed with it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I saw like the Capitol and the City Hall thing, and we walked around there and looked at some stuff. We went to like a state museum with like their history and all that stuff. But like, then we went, but like the food was not good, Charles. And the locals, every
Fast
single
food?
like the Ubers and the like, they were the only ones that like that were like, we asked them like, hey, what's good to eat, and they're like, not really much good to eat here. It's just kind of like.
This is why we had to legalize pot, because our food is fucked.
Exactly.
Just inedible.
I remember you sent me that message, and I showed it to my dad, and he cracked up laughing. Yeah, they got recreational marijuana and all that stuff. That's great, but you got to get stoned so you can get the munchies, and you don't give a shit what you're eating. That's probably what it is. So like Denver just doesn't have good food. Supposedly you have to go to like outside the city, like Pueblo, and at that point it's just kind of like a variation of Mexican food. So that's not really what I want. I wanted some like Western type of food, but apparently that's not what they do there. And as far as anything interesting, you got to go into the mountains to like go hiking, or if you're in the winter, you go skiing and all that stuff. But like, they're like an hour and a half away from Denver.
And I think that's why I really emphasize anywhere I go that does like specialty burgers.
Yeah.
Because when you're in like out of nowhere places that you think and have this assumption are going to have these fantastic options for you, and it turns out to be literal ass.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go to a specialty burger. When people say, Charles, what do you mean by specialty burger? I'm like, when you go to any kind of food chain establishments, right? The franchises,
And you're right.
they do some weird stuff. Because I think about when I went to Carolina and I sent you guys the donut burger.
Yeah. Your assessment is spot on, because guess what? The first place we went to was. It was literally a burger place.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it was called 5280 Burger. They had a bunch of stuff on variety. I liked the burger. I had like an avocado something burger. It was fine.
That's probably your Southwest mixture.
Yeah,
I mean, like avocado with a jalapeno spread, pimento.
Yeah, so it was fine. I'm like, okay, cool burger, and I thought like it would expand from there, but like it wasn't. And then like the last thing that I had there, which was me and my dad were like, we got to get some like buffalo or bison. You would think that's what they have.
Nope.
And I was looking on Yelp through their menus, and like I looked at John Elway's freaking restaurant and Peyton Manning's restaurant. They ain't got no bison on their menus.
Would you even dare go to somewhere like that? It's not like it's gonna be like Shula's where you're gonna get paid. What's Shula's claim to fame? The high price steaks?
Yeah.
Everything else that comes in between?
Yeah, it's all the same model.
I mean, what the hell do you want? What the hell do you want out of a John Elway? Scrambled brains? Oh, I'm sorry, scrambled eggs. That was low hanging fruit.
That's a good one.
Joke, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
And Peyton, what did I say? I'll get on the record. What I said about Peyton is like you just go to eat at any Papa John's. I don't know if he's still part of it.
I did. That was great.
Oh God.
So
we hate Colorado then, is what you're saying.
I don't hate Colorado. I just think that if you're gonna
I hate places I can't eat, man.
If you're gonna go, you're either going just so you can smoke the weed, or you can climb those mountains. That's really the only reason to go. At that point, bring your. I don't know. I can't say for the rest of Colorado. I can't say nothing about Colorado Springs or Boulder or freaking wherever, Pueblo. But like, I just there's not really anything that stood out, to be honest. Denver as a city, that's why Paris Parasarolophus play there.
Yeah, so, all the dinosaur bones.
Yeah. So, that was Colorado. That's really my assessment. It was just kind of a meh city.
And I've contemplated going to Denver or Boulder in my travels. Right before COVID, I was very big on the traveling. Yeah. Somehow I found myself just being in the Carolinas more, but that's because everybody got married and all this other stuff, and I'd be stuck there. Yeah. Blah blah blah.
Yep. Okay.
10 out of 10 would not recommend, huh?
Nah, I wouldn't recommend unless you're going to go out to the mountains or you're literally there for one event. There were a ton of people from San Francisco because they were going to play the Broncos.
So here's a question I have for you, though. What was, the actual sport environment like? Because the Rockies are sucking. They paid big money to Chris Bryant, who's not doing anything.
It looked like it was near sellout for that. Like, those people like their teams, their sports. I can't fault them. I saw Nuggets stuff. I saw Avalanche stuff. I saw but a ton of Broncos stuff. Obviously, that I saw Rockies fans are good fans. Like they got good fans. You can't fault them for that at all. They're a better sports city than here, Miami. So that's that's the other thing that was pissing me off when I was reviewing Coors Field. I'm like, what these people? They're in last place. They've lost like 95 games. How are they? Like, why are people here? Like, why is this empty?
So I guess this brings into an interesting question. Depending on your team and the money they spend, because you compare to them to another last place team, which is like the Kansas City Royals, do you still go because there's actually superstars on there, or what's below superstar?
I literally could not name
star players. I got Chris Bryant.
I watched. Oh, yeah, he played he played like 10 games this year.
But you know how the fan bases are. They can be like, we got a guy, and
after they go with Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, right. Versus like Kansas City Royals, who I cannot name you a single person.
Just Mondesi.
I don't even know who the manager is.
Zach Greinke's back there.
Oh yeah, poor why? That's the problem with love. He's money.
No. He's
love over money.
No. If you watch anything on Zach Greinke, he does his own thing, and we love him for it. All right, the man wanted to quit baseball just to run a lawn mowing company.
I mean, listen. Sometimes I think about quit being an attorney, and I don't think I could run the lawn though. I don't like touching the blades of grass. But I think that's what happened. Like when I went to the Hornets versus. Oh, it's not Hornets. What is it now? It's Charlotte.
Yeah, the Hornets.
Yes. Okay. I'm not crazy. Holy shit. This is what happens when you get old. Because I was about to say Charlotte Bobcats. I'm like, no, Charles, that's not correct. When I saw the Hornets versus the Rockets when James Harden was there, the Hornets were ass anyway. But it's the fact that you got to see other star players like James Harden and Cody Zeller was like the big.
I mean, that Rockets crowd. There were a ton of people from San Diego. So one more thing. The ushers were fantastic in Colorado. Like every single one of them was nice. You know,
they saw sorry that you have to eat.
They saw me and my dad in Marlins gear, and they're like, "You guys got the wrong GPS coordinates." I'm like, ah. So like, they were fine. So Zach Campbell was just a dick. So that's honestly my assessment on the ushers. They were great. Like Coors Field is good. They just need better food.
Honestly. How was that altitude?
I could not climb the Capitol building past the 3rd floor. Like, it hit me. My dad is from a mountainous area, so it didn't, even all these years later, it didn't hit him. But, as soon as I got to the 3rd floor, I don't know, something came over me, and I was like, oh, I gotta sit down.
You're just playing to the ancestors.
Yeah.
You're like,
I'm about to pass out in front of the governor's office. Like, that was, we were climbing the state capitol building. We were gonna go up to, like, the dome, to the observatory, and then, like, I can't. Nope. I'm gonna pass out. It was very real, but after like a few more hours, I was fine. I don't get it. I was in New Mexico. It didn't bother me, and apparently that's a slightly higher altitude. But yeah,
couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. So that's my assessment of Denver. So let's see. We're at 40 minutes, Charles. Aaron Judge. Want to talk about him?
Yeah, let's talk about Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I will I know it sounds terrible, but no one's considered this possibility because there's the assumption that he's going to get to 61 and then get to 62. I'm not going to lie. I would completely crack the hell up if the man never hits a homer for the remainder of the season. He could get so many RBIs, though.
Yeah.
And not hit one single homer outside the game, and everybody in their love for him about this MVP, this fictional media-created
triple crown
MVP would be no boy. They would be saying if the man could not, they would be like, oh, but he couldn't hit 61. Dude hit 60, but he couldn't hit 61. Guy has possible triple, but he couldn't hit 61. I kind of would love that. I know it's the ultimate form of trolling, but not trolling onto him.
It's the ultimate contract year, man.
Yeah, well, that would be the funny part, and that's what kind of cracks me up a little bit. Because is he sweating the pressure? A tad. Do I think that people need to remember that sometimes there's an affected by who they play with pitchers? Yeah, because that's the problem, I think, with great hitters, fantastic hitters, is that players forget that there's great pitchers out there as well. And the slew of people that they have. Now, mind you, would I have loved for him to hit a home run off of Nick Pivetta? Would I have loved 61 and 62 to be against that fraud Alex Cora?
Kept walking the man.
Yeah, but what cowardice, what cowardice, and that's what ruined the momentum. But that frustrated me beyond belief that they could even, venture, and it's a good thing regardless for him. But if this man did not hit a single home run from here on out, I still don't think it takes away from the fact that he should be MVP. But to continue on with the real analytical assessment of this, I don't think he's an MVP. I think all that is just Twitter hype. Even if you get Jeff Passan and Ben Verlander, how did he become famous? Just because he came from this.
His brother.
I had a very good insult ready, and then you ruined it.
Sorry. I didn't know it was a bit. I had no idea it was a bit.
It was because one day, and this is what I hate about Twitter. I feel like I'm old, and I'm like, I don't know who's cool.
I usually catch your bits, but I don't know. I jumped in on that one. It was. Do you want to say the bit? Do you want to finish?
No.
The momentum's gone.
No, it was something about just because his brother opened up the vaginal canal for him, but
it's still funny.
I know. What people need to realize is I don't like Justin Verlander, and the reason why I don't like Justin Verlander is not because he's talented. It's the salt. It's the reverse Aaron Rodgers effect, where I legitimately believe that Aaron Rodgers has been overrated for 4 years counting now, almost 5. 5 years counting now. I have never really believed that Justin Verlander has been overrated. My issue with Justin Verlander stems from 2 things. 1, because of the fact that we never got him, and 2, the juice balls comment made me kind of salty.
Oh, okay.
When he won,
I thought the selling of the soul, 2017.
No, I'm a Yankees fan. Okay. We convinced many people to come join their soul or sell their souls for us. I get it, man. But my issue was the juice balls. But yet he won MVP that year. The logic doesn't make sense. It doesn't dictate. You gave the most earned runs or the most home runs off of it. You just got lucky that there weren't bases loaded in there. But no, and he has a great life. He's got Kate Upton. It's one of those kids that come in there. Good for him. But Ben Verlander, I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And my thing is that how do you, and this is kind of a steer away, but it can come back and loop into it. How do you assess credibility of an analyst if they've never played the game and their brother plays it? I'm sure Ben maybe has played the game.
I mean,
I've never heard about it in my life.
He could still be an analyst, like even regardless of like playing and stuff, like John Clayton for like the NFL for the longest time,
But John Clayton, was he really an analyst, or was he he was more of a locker room reporter guy?
Yeah, I guess.
Because it's the same thing when I talk about the fantasy football guys. I really detest them. That whole roundtable stuff that you get on NFL Prime, where you're talking about guys. Because here's the problem with some of fantasy football, or at least on the NFL stuff, not like Matthew Berry and then I forgot what the other guy's name in NFL is. A lot of it's very on the nose, Mr. Obvious. When like 6 years ago, it wasn't anything transcendent when you had when he was like, okay, we're gonna put Peyton Manning against the Cleveland Browns. That and you're like, oh, okay, they're just gonna destroy him. Anyway, I digress. But Judge itself, it's Shohei, and it's always going to be Shohei. And what did I tell you guys in the group chat a couple weeks ago? Because you created this monkey's paw of this duality, and you open up this Pandora's box of it being Shohei the first time and saying that the batting doesn't mean anything. This man needs to win the MVP every year until the end of his career, unless he gets injured and cannot perform the other singular function. Because you know what the problem is? If you take away the pitching, the other singular function doesn't even have him as the 4th best hitter in the AL. The last time I checked, I went hardcore on it. I don't really come prepared for our show, but there's one thing I'm very I take pride in, I put a lot of focus in, is proving people that I'm right about any statements I make when it comes to my pettiness.
Oh, yeah.
The KD way. Ego of my ego, petty of my petty.
Yeah, well, that's a lawyer in you.
Yeah, well, for people who don't get that reference, DMX, flesh of my flesh, blood of my So yeah, that's where we're at in that situation. So he's not going to get it. It should only go to Shohei. Stop lying, because even what you sent me the other day, man, you're like, oh, he just struck out 200 people. I'm like, yeah, because you started this precedent last year. There was arguments that could be made that it should have been Vladdy Guerrero Jr. Now it's not. Speaking of which, screw you, Vladdy. I hate the fact that you got that homer off us last night.
Yep.
But that's my thoughts on him. Can I be petty for 2 seconds?
Oh, I know what
this is, but that was informational petty. That was informational petty.
Here's a subjective pettiness.
Yeah, Alex Cora is hot garbage. Can't manage.
Yeah, let's do it.
At all.
Red Sox got a
crybaby bitch.
Yep.
Wants to complain everything about being either COVID or injuries. Like, we didn't have the same thing last year. And then the Matt Bloom, I think it's
they
Matt
still
John Bloom,
spent like $180 million.
Oh, but it's never him. And y'all want to love him so much, and you want to crown them. And I feel bad for Red Sox fans, man.
The only person I feel bad for is Chris Sale.
I don't feel bad for Chris Sale. Matt, I think he's purposely injuring himself. I'll be the one who goes on the dark web and say that. Chris Sale personally, who falls on a bike? Come on, you're a grown ass man. He personally, I feel bad for Xander, but he can get paid. I feel bad for the other guy. He couldn't get paid. Mookie Betts is just the minute they traded away Mookie because they were too cheap and they went with Sale and everybody else was when I'm like, they're a stupid ass organization.
Yeah.
Like Mookie now is doing fine. And that's the problem. He's just doing fine right now, which AK is like very good, but it's just everybody else kind of doing very well because Paul Goldschmidt.
But he's on the Dodgers, so it's like it's almost like it's getting lost in the shadows.
It's elementary, man. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Freddie Freeman's having a monster year.
Oh my god. My paralegal, he's a Braves fan, and I always make fun of him because I told him, like, congratulations, you have the most unmemorable World Series win in the history of man of our lifetime. He's 41, and you could raise the argument that'd be the Royals, but people always remember the Royals because of the fact that it was against the Mets, and because of the fact that they did it with they had the plan, and that's the thing. If you have the plan, it always comes in, you remember, like, it was a 3-year plan. That's all they had to really work with. But Freddie goes, and you got Matt Olson. I suppose he's doing fine, but there's a petty in all of us where I don't believe a single person who says that when a guy leaves to go elsewhere, they want to see the guy succeed elsewhere. You know what I mean? When there was contract reviews. And I know there was the Gottlieb Goon situation where, that information came out to be false and there was an offer actually made, which makes the relevancy of what we put him on. Yeah, which makes it even better because that's the whole thing that we propel on is that Gottlieb is a goon. But regardless, that means you guys weren't good enough and you chose cash. You went to LA, even though he's been with you for 9 years. I don't want to see anybody succeed. I love AJ Brown to death. I don't want to succeed in Philly. And what's he doing right now in Philly? Succeed.
Are they succeeding in Philly?
Oh, man, no. He's succeeding in Philly. They can succeed in Philly. I don't want him to tear his knee. Obviously, I would never do that. But then I'm just like sitting there like, He's a conduit. He's an integral part of an offense.
Yep.
God damn it.
That's fun, man.
It's terrible.
Okay. Let's see. We're at 48 minutes. Is
there anything else on baseball? There's not really because right now this is like the death blow, and then the postseason's going to come in good.
We're winding down. Like we already got 6 teams in.
How do you feel about Mattingly? There you go.
Okay.
I think let's make it personal because this is really the non-matter. Like the next week and a half doesn't matter.
Yeah. For
baseball, and I know people hate that when I say that like that, but it's true.
Unless you're like a wild card team, but like everybody else, it's like okay, like the Dodgers already have home field advantage through like the World Series. It doesn't matter anymore. So like they're just gonna coast from here, and then like the Braves and the Mets are fighting for their division, but they've already made it. And then it's like those 3 wildcard teams in the National League, and then the Yanks, and then the Astros, and who's going to be the best in the American League, and then like Cleveland, and they're just there. So, we already talked about pretty much all those teams. So, and then Seattle and
there's been some real ass sports, being talked about. I think
for the American League's like for the most part set up already. Seattle's going to make it.
It's just the matchups.
Yeah, like Baltimore. Baltimore is not going to make it. Like they're a little like it'd have to be like a magical run for them to make it. But even then, like their season's a success because like they're ready, which is kind of scary for the AL East.
The media is going to watch you, which I'll tell you right now. When you're on that fringe team, and you get that attention of being on TV, that's what you want.
Yeah. So you got that. And then, all right, so teams that don't matter. So, the Marlins, I think, who's the frickin', let me look at one thing real quick. Tankathon, I just want to know who's, like, it's a draft lottery again for the first time for baseball, so that's fine. Washington's got the worst record. They got 100 losses already, so that makes sense. But the Marlins were not supposed to be this terrible. Like, I would have been fine if they were, like, 75 and whatever, something like that. 70-75 wins range. Anything plus that would have been like a surprise for me. But they're at 63 victories. They lost 90 games already. They're winning against the Mets right now, which would be funny if they ruined it for the Mets. But yeah, it's Mattingly's gonna be gone after this season. They finally, like, a mutual parting of the ways for both of them. He's been here since 2016, I think. So he went through the whole Jose dying thing, and then the ownership change, the Jeter years, the COVID, and now this. So I'd like Don Mattingly. I don't think there's many people that hate him except for like Dodgers fans. So like I
which is understandable as well. But
I honestly was surprised he even came down here. Like after the Dodgers situation, like I thought he would go to a similar team in that sort of sense, a team that can at least spend some money. But he came to Miami, because he stayed all these years. They extended his contract. I think he basically worked on his craft. I guess maybe that's how he thought of it, like just working on his managerial craft. And there's only so much you can do with this Marlins team. Like, they don't spend money, right? They made a fluke playoff appearance in a shortened year. That's fine and all. But I liked it. 2020 was fun. Cool. They were 11 wins away from the World Series, which is a surprise to me when I say it. But yeah, he's got the most wins in franchise history. There's really not much I can say.
Doesn't feel right.
Yeah, he's got the most wins. He's got the most losses. So that's it. But it's just gonna be one of those, like, those nothing eras in a sense. Like, okay, that was a weird time. But I really have nothing bad to say about him. It's because he just doesn't have much to work with down here. So it's really hard to assess his.
So he's a chicken and ham sandwich. It feeds you, but you can do better.
Like, honestly, I don't know how if you had like a competent front office, how would he do that? Would he just be the same as he was when he was with the Dodgers? Would he have been better? I kind of compared him like you to, I told you, like, to Joe Torre, right? Mm-hmm. Joe Torre was with like the Braves and the Mets and the Cardinals. Just like these teams, like I think the Braves were were kind of like the Marlins back in the 80s. They were just terrible and stuff. And I think he was on the Mets. The Mets were, the Mets. And he was on the Cardinals he managed them for quite a while, and it just kind of felt like a disappointing period for St. Louis. And then like he really he was all right as a player. The same thing, right? He was great. He was a good player back when he played for some time. Probably not as good as Mattingly, but then he goes to New York, and it's like, okay, the perfect situation, right? And that 96,
he also
and
he also kind of go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying like that, but at the same time, he showed his managerial prowess, because like that '96 Yankees team wasn't like the '98 through 2000 Yankees team.
I think he benefited a little bit from the holdovers from Buck Showalter's time.
That's
who
true.
is the Buck Showalter and Dusty Baker are your ultimate plug and play guys.
Yeah.
If you ever need a manager to kind of go in there, because
yeah.
Buck made he kept the right dudes, Paul O'Neill and a few other guys. And then the youth was more of Cashman, but you got to remember too, when you're talking about management and stuff like that, that's a very top down, down up, because you figure out who you're going to call up from the AA and AAA. You trust your scouts, but also the talents of who to put into lineups, unlike a certain Aaron Boone.
Yeah.
Why the hell is Aaron Hicks still on that team, even though he had like his 100th homer the other day? Woohoo! Good for you.
And that's the thing, like same thing you mentioned, like as far as like the guys calling up and everything like that. Like Mattingly, there was only so much you could work with here in Miami. We have pitchers. That was the one really good thing. But I think that's also part of like, you can credit him with the staff because he has Mel Stoudemire Jr. as part of his coaching staff. And, Mel Stoudemire was also like a fantastic pitching coach for the Yanks. And so his son is basically just as good. So the Marlins pitching has been elite for like the last couple seasons. But like our hitting sucks. Our hitting development sucks. So like we literally didn't have a center fielder this season.
You have guys who are hitting and playing like they're in AA ball, man.
Yeah, like we didn't have a center fielder coming into the season. We never got one.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
We
about
have right
regret.
fielders and left fielders trying to play center, and like there's no way you need a dedicated center fielder.
So I'm gonna ask you a question about regret. If you had paid Starling the money, do you think you at least get some wins out of it?
Maybe like, but I wouldn't say it would be that much because like they've had some bad luck. Like Jazz Chisholm got injured. You know, he was our all-star second baseman. Garrett Cooper made an all-star team and then just completely fell apart after that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and some of their older guys, like Jesus Aguilar, just started to suck. I mean, he's kind of sucked all year, but like he really sucked. Never got any of that power. And the prospects that we did have that kind of looked good, like Jesus Sanchez and Brian De La Cruz and a few other guys, like they didn't, I guess, progress as quickly as we wanted them to. Not like you see in Baltimore, basically. That's kind of what we were hoping for, like what's going on with Baltimore. That didn't happen, so.
And that's what trading Trey Mancini. That still amazes me.
Yeah. No, Baltimore's got it. Whatever they got it. Like it's I don't think they're going to be like Kansas City and Detroit just kind of fell apart after whatever. I think Detroit's kind of ruining their rebuild because they went after Javi Baez, which was a mistake.
And they kept Miggy.
And Miggy, I mean, he's.
I'm just saying, you have to think where that.
I mean, they can't move that contract. He's got to stay. Like he's either retiring or he's.
We said that and we let A-Rod go, so lo and behold.
And
there was no
he
impossibility.
can still hit. He's not.
I'm shitting.
If you're gonna have a DH, you're gonna have a future Hall of Famer. Might as well,
Yeah. That also goes to show where part of the downfall for NL teams.
Plus, he might be like a Udonis Haslem situation.
There's nothing about power hitters. Do not tell me that they're great hitters because there's always high strikeout rate. That's like Mike Trout's that guy I would listen to.
No, but Miggy's also he won Triple Crown. I mean, he's got a career 300 average, so he's not power hitter like.
Well, he's not Aaron. He's not John Carlo.
But then again, Mark McGwire is a great hitting coach. So.
Well, Mark's belief was essentially this: to swing.
Swing. His little thing was like see ball, hit ball.
Yeah. And I love him for that because he's not wrong.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean that's it for me. I don't know who's gonna come in and manage this team. Like people are throwing out Joe Madden. I could see Joe Madden coming to like a semi Tampa Bay situation, but I don't know how much he wants to like he'd have less pressure. It's basically the same situation that Tampa was in.
I can't see Joe doing it.
But,
Joe likes winning too much, man.
But I mean, he's been through it, so I could see Joe Madden doing it if the Marlins give him a lot of like control, like a lot, and almost Pat Riley like control would probably be the only way for him to come down here.
Yeah,
and I doubt the Marlins would do that. So I really have no idea who's going to come in here and try and fix this. We're most likely going to hire some new guy, some newbie. I don't think we're going to get any of the manager carousel that's around there.
Question is, do you want any of that?
Honestly, not really. Aside from Joe Madden, Joe Girardi's not coming back.
No, Joe is very egotistical. There's a lot of pride at play.
That's true, and he's of his time.
And the problem is who's gonna want Joe when the team that you got fired from is actually in contention? That's a bad sign.
Yeah,
it is not like
that's what I was saying. Joe is of his time, really.
Yeah.
Like as soon as baseball started to become like true outcome, like
analytics and actually listening to the young guys.
Yeah, no more gut feeling, that type of thing. Like after Joe was fine between 2009 and to whenever Jeter retired. That was it.
I sent you that the other 2015. I think.
Yeah,
2014.
Like yeah.
I still remember that day. Did I cry? No. Did I well up a little bit? Yes. Because of the fact that one, he didn't play any other games besides the last Go game, and then he got that single drive in. I was like, okay. Yeah. Unlike Mariano, who's like, we were already losing 4-0. Yeah. We just put him out there. It wasn't as much of an impact.
Yeah, he didn't even finish the inning. He didn't even finish the inning. So.
Yeah, because the thing is, there's a lot of things come into it.
Yeah.
Could Mariano have gone on for a little bit more? Probably. He only just throws one ball and it goes like 79 miles.
Yeah, but you don't want to embarrass a Hall of Famer at that point.
Tell that to half the Hall of Famers who are still playing.
Well. Let's see. All right, we're at an hour, so that's enough baseball. That's it. We're done.
Let's do it.
Yeah, word from non-sponsors, people, places, things, concepts, what have you. We've been enjoying over the last week. I honestly can't really say anything from Denver. That would be my non-sponsor.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Yeah, no pressure on all, right? Damn.
I honestly just didn't feel like anything stuck out to me. Like
You didn't feel the love?
Not really. Like Coors Field was fun. It was good. It was nice. It was a baseball stadium. I'm like, okay.
But you're also not a Rockies fan, so
yeah, but the vibe was good.
Effect.
It was a good vibe. You know, you go to baseball games, sometimes you get a good vibe. Like I've had good vibes at Fenway and DC. Like some places, yeah, you get a good vibe. But like the city itself, I'm just like, okay, fine. You know, Grace is gracious. I'm not gonna give it to United Airlines.
Hell no.
It's hard for me to give it to an airline. It was fine, I fell asleep on the ride back.
I will never give it to any airline unless I literally see like two people swinging hands and the flight attendant's good enough to let me record it first before they separate it.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Do you want to go? I can't really. I think I know what I could be talking about.
And I don't have much, but I've mentioned them in theory. But I can roll with this. All right, I got this. So it is hurricane celebration time. So over the weekend, I didn't do much. I thankfully just got to chill and relax and breathe until Sunday came around. But the thing about hurricanes coming into it is that normal Floridians, because we talked about, weirdness, if anybody was observing the stuff that we were doing, people like to go and barbecue and stuff like that, and then grill and then have many assortments of meats and spices and everything of that nature. Well, I did that Sunday. I went over to Houdini's house. Shout out to him. Right. He was doing his barbecue, stuff like that. We talked about, we watched NFL Red Zone. I don't like Red Zone. I'm saying that right now. This is not a shout for Red Zone. I missed kind of the feel of being able to watch games beginning to end because it's too, it's too ADHD for me to be like, oh, here's this thing. Here's that. I'm like, but I want to see how you get to the drive. I don't want to watch. Like, you pay money to see
You can go on
thing.
YouTube to look at that stuff.
Like, I don't understand it, but we had a little bit of barbecue, and the man went and got his meats from everywhere, and then he got his sausage from everywhere. So there was sausages, there was hot dogs,
Yummy.
There was hamburger, there was chicken wings, drumsticks, which are bigger than regular drums. Kids gotta know the differences, right? They're starving people. Don't get hungry. And then like steak. So he dropped some cash going there, and then he had margaritas. He got Margaritaville maker, which is nice. But he also went to Pepper Palace, which I have mentioned before, but on a particular brand. But I don't know like the brands I had from there. So they'll be my non-sponsor because there was an assortment of spices. And Charles loves his meat. Charles also loves his hot sauces, even though his doctor doesn't want Charles to be as crazy about hot sauces. That's why he's on pantoprazole now as 33, getting a little bit of that reflux. But you know what? Mom didn't raise no punk ass. So my boy got the stuff from Pepper Palace.
Buy 5, get 6-3, man.
Buy 5, get 6-3. So we had an assortment of things: sweet, rum whiskey, bourbon glaze, very hot stuff, punch in the nose, the world's hottest beef jerky, world's hottest popcorn. I had the world's hottest beef jerky. I love jerky. I like meat. I had it. My tongue was burning for like 5 minutes. Jesus Christ. They got that peach serrano I've had before and a few other things. It's a good assortment. The closest one for me is at Wellington, which is kind of far, but I can order online. It's basically you can go and sample and try it out there. And I think it's a damn good time because let me tell you something. Some of y'all people, whether it be on the barbecue or in the home, on the pan, y'all don't know how to use seasoning. And if I come over and I got to eat, if I want to eat cardboard, I'll just order not Jimmy John's, Little Caesars, and just eat the cardboard there that they give you. It's fine. So sometimes I have to add in a little bit of flavor. You got to get them on the skulls. You got to get them like that. You're doing hot ones to make it all delicious. And I love eating them spicy foods. It's not even the Hispanic side of me. It's the everyday change of life. Because when I lived on my own, man, let me tell you something. When I used to food prep, my food prep was if I bought 2 pounds of pork or chicken, I literally would eat that the whole week. So I cook it all. So variety is the spice of life, and that's what I would have to do with those meats. So I'm not stuck eating the same thing over and over and over again. So we would have barbecue sauce, we have hot sauce. That's what the purposes of Pepper Palace would be. accentuate your taste buds, burn your taste buds to a degree as well. Live a little in life, put a little flavor in your tongue. Go to Flavor Town, as what Guy Fieri says.
Yep.
So, enjoy it. So, Pepper Palace, check for a local place near you. Try out the samples. You can order some stuff online, get those crazy deals, and then thank me later. That'll be my non-sponsor promo code Palace of Pepper. Make it simple.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think there's one in the Dolphin Mall here.
There should be.
Yeah, I think that's where we went. So yeah, I've gone there. I've partook in the stuff. They got the little spoons. So you can try out the different flavors. It's always fun. Yeah. All right. So I got mine. It's an oldie, but it's I guess it's a goodie now because it's Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I was kind of expecting that. That's why I was shocked when you
I was just kind of looking for something else. I beat Yoshi's Crafted World.
Did you like it?
I did. I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Very chill, very wholesome.
It did, yeah. And when I was flying to Denver, I played the single player of Splatoon just to work on my craft and stuff. My internet was good enough to actually play, and we tried.
Did Grub win?
I don't think we won, man. I didn't even want to look. Like Sunday when I got back home, I don't even feel like playing because we were already losing. We were losing. I was already discouraged. I'm like, we probably picked the team with the worst people in it. So,
well, it felt that way.
It did. It absolutely did. I was thoroughly disappointed in the performance of pretty much everybody. Pretty much even myself. Even myself with some of that, I was just kind of like, I don't know what's going on, and it really did feel like when we were playing together, it did feel like it was two of us. Yeah. It just nothing was working. So I was just like, is it the patch? Did they make some things OP? It kind of felt that way. So I'm waiting for that next balance patch. To be honest, I feel like they changed some things. Like the mechanics feel a little bit different as far as
it was just the defense.
I don't know.
I felt like I should shoot them 10 times and they would bust.
And I was playing handheld, which was kind of weird. Yeah. So.
But I felt the same.
My dad was watching me because we were watching a movie, and he's like, "What the hell are you playing?" I'm just playing. Hold on, I can't talk. I'm literally moving all over the bed, trying to aim and all that stuff. But
I was just disappointed that I didn't get to the second half, but I had to go have meat in my mouth.
Yeah, so, I didn't want to play the triple play stuff, even though it probably would have fared better. But oh well. Anyways, Banjo-Kazooie, that's what I want to talk about right now. So it was re-released on N64 for the Switch recently. Microsoft and Nintendo are buddy right now, so they really are it's the meme with Arnold Schwarzenegger and was it Carl Weathers?
Yeah, they're just doing the and Predator. They're just doing the big grab.
Yeah, the big
grab.
The
biceps hold.
Yeah, the biceps hold against PlayStation right now. So that's what's going down. Banjo-Kazooie, I've been playing. I never played it on the N64. Maybe my cousins had it, but I never actually played it, and I never had a chance to get it before. I played a little bit on Game Pass with the cloud version, but it's the beauty of the Switch with the save states is masterful. Because the 360 cloud version is you make a mistake, you got to go up and do the things all over again. But here it's just okay, just go back in time. There's no rewind feature like NES and Super Nintendo, but
which I don't think you would want something like that though.
Yeah, it's a little hard to pull off on the N64, but it's still whatever. You just get the save state. That's great. So yeah, Banjo-Kazooie, it's fun. It's a game that honestly does encourage itself to be 100%ed. If you play, the way it's structured is very compact. It's not as ridiculous as, I don't know, you play Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah, where you just connected bananas everywhere.
I mean, yeah, Donkey Kong 64 is just ridiculous. Whereas Banjo-Kazooie is a very contained experience. I'm 13 hours in. I'm almost done. I'm at the end. I just need to collect a few more things, and then I'll beat Gruntilda, and that's it. I'll 100% it. So, but yeah, I actually was inspired to actually 100% it. So, it's good. It's good. So if you do have an Xbox or a Nintendo Switch or even an N64, I highly recommend it. Promo code Bear and Bird. So, hey folks, Francisco here from Sports Goofs. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcasts on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's it. I mean, it's not really much else for me, so we're on the next half. All right, Charles, football. Let's go.
Let's go. And this time we don't have to one-shot it because we have some time.
Yeah, an hour and 10 minutes. So let's start with my Rita Repulsa persona here. The Miami Dolphins are undefeated.
Inspiring?
I wouldn't say they were inspired. I would say they were lucky. We landed right like around the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So me and my dad, it took us a while to get off the plane while it was taxiing and all that stuff. Was waiting the runway. And then, so me and my dad were watching the game. And then when we got out of the plane, we were sitting in the terminal and watching the end of that game on my phone. We saw the butt punt.
Yeah.
Which was funny. I thought that was it. Because I was surprised by the fumble that they stripped from Buffalo. I was like, oh man, this is it. Holy crap. And then the butt punt happened. And I was like, Tua ain't the guy. Of course it's gonna happen. Josh Allen's gonna lead Buffalo down the field. All they need is a field goal to win the game. And it didn't happen. Now, I've seen the passes. I've seen like the one deep pass that Tua did throw. Mm-hmm. And of course Josh Allen with that terrible throw.
It was a couple, man.
Yeah, but he had a couple of the one terrible throw that was like in the end zone that he just didn't even reach. And people were like, "Oh, if that was Tua, you guys wouldn't be talking about it all day." I'm like, "Yeah, well,
which is very fair.
It's true. Statements. It's true. It's been the reputation so far, but once again, I attribute this victory more to the Dolphins' defense and luck than anything else. I still can't give it to Tua just yet. I don't know. I feel like there have been factors in these games that have let him squeak on by, to be honest.
Well, it's the fact that, Sean McDermott and Ken Dorsey are not really that cutthroat, because there was multiple times they could have had something. There was 2 fumbles by Allen that Jason Verrett picked up, which good for Jason Verrett for being an old man, still bring it in. Oh. I will say this on my observation of games, because I have friends who are both Dolphins fans and Bills fans. Everybody on both sides, and this is amusing to me, makes excuses for why their team either won or lost.
I will say this: the Buffalo ones are funny with the sun.
Oh yeah, it's great though, because they ran. The reason why you lost is not because of the sun. The reason why you lost is because it was like one segment where it was 28 minutes before the Dolphins even got to run their offense, and you came with no points. Yeah, it's the ineptitude. Ineptitude's a very
the
harsh
Bills
word.
Literally ran like double the plays that Dolphins ran.
Yeah, and I'm not going to call it ineptitude because we all had to endure the 49ers game. Or I didn't endure it because I wasn't stupid enough to watch it. But,
I was in Denver and I didn't endure it, so.
Yeah. Well, no, it was on the Sunday night game.
I know, but, like, there were people that were there. And it was I was not going to watch it.
Yeah, we don't do that here. But when you're out there so much, there's always an expectation. Either a field goal or something. Game numbers, I think there was a missed field goal. But if anything I take away from this is just good for Jalen Waddle, because the more Tua can find that one deep ball, the more money he's going to get paid. But what I would say is this, though. Do I like what Mike McDaniel's doing? No, because here's the thing. With a lot of guys that seem to be big play teams, you're only scoring, 20 points?
Yeah.
Is that how much you won by? So you got Tyreek, you got Jalen, you got Gesicki, who's just a non-factor in this offense, which I think is a bad decision, in my opinion. I think he should be around more. And you don't have a running back. I know Chase Edmonds got 2 touchdowns out of this, but that was more by being waiting in the wings to get to the goal line as opposed to being the big play guy. I always thought a running back was exactly what you needed to really make that team more complete offensively to help Tua. Because Tua, what was concerning is that boy was done fucked up.
There's anything the Dolphins love is not pairing their franchise quarterbacks with good running backs. So,
but that boy was done fucked up. I don't know if you saw him fall the way I saw him fall. because he looked concussed, even though they say he's not concussed. But there was a point where he got hit, he got up, he was struggling, and he fell down. And I think that's concerning because Tua's young, and every young guy is an idiot in life. Trust me, I was once a young man. I can attest to this. And they're not going to want to be taken out of the game, because if not, they're going to be branded as the Jay Cutlers, and God forbid, they're in that situation. And for anybody who needs to remember, Jay Cutler came out of the NFC game. That was a championship game, and he never heard the end of it. So I think Tua is like really young too, like 24, 25. And I understand I am speaking or commenting on someone I don't know, and I don't know the situation. I understand that, kids. I'm just saying that it wasn't the right call, because when someone just falls down like that and is taken quickly to the blue tent and back, and everything is okay, peachy fine, I'm kind of concerned. I don't know if you saw that portion, but it's not good. It's not healthy.
Well, it's kind of what they. I mean, that's. I feel like this Dolphins
it's irresponsible.
It is irresponsible. It also kind of points out that I feel like this winning is untenable for the Dolphins, just because I don't know. I've seen things before.
How many times can you get lucky?
Yeah, well, exactly. I sent you the power rankings,
here.
and I sent it to Doug too, and I told him like, let me see, what was the thing I actually said to him? I said, this will only end in tragedy. I said on the ESPN thing. And he actually was like agreeing. He's like, this is absolutely an unsustainable trajectory, but I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Well, this is how I'm going to dissect it. You beat a very average Patriots team, and we know they're average just by how they've been playing lately.
Yeah.
And then who did you beat last week?
We beat the Ravens. Remember, we came back.
That's right. That was great. But then watching how the Ravens have been playing the last 2 weeks, you realize that defense is terrible, and they got to pay Lamar Jackson all the cash.
That's true.
And then you beat and won Buffalo.
Yeah.
But they really didn't feel like they should have won you. So even though it's like the Eagles logic from last year where they went to the playoffs, but they never beat any real teams, you still won. So you beat teams, and that's good. But you got to, when you talk about wins and losses, you have to factor in every relevant win and every relevant loss and how good or bad the competition was. The reason why I say that is because we were number 1 seed, and everybody says that we were lucky, and they forget the fact that we beat the Chiefs, that we had beaten the Bills, that we had beaten the Rams. But what they remember is we lost to fucking Joe Burrow because Ryan Tannehill threw 4 picks. But do I think it's good to get this kind of sensation? Yeah. I think what people also need to realize too is Buffalo is not as good as people. You want to know why people are making excuses for Buffalo? Because they shellacked our asses last Monday.
Also, that's been the darling pick. So
yeah, well of course.
Yeah, they're all those analysts, all those people are not gonna admit fault.
Oh yeah,
like they want Buffalo to succeed,
and when they do, it's disgusting.
Yeah, yeah.
It is literally. I'd rather them be proud than just being repentive or contrite.
So that is another Dolphins game. Let's see. The Browns beat the Steelers on Thursday night.
Pittsburgh doesn't deserve anything nice.
They're not a good team. They're not. I mean, we've known this, but they're more of a not good team than people realize. So
I don't even think it's Mitchell Trubisky at all.
No, he's been playing fine.
That Matt Canada scheme seems very average.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that happened. The Bengals beat the Jets. All right. That's a good reset game for the Bengals.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, get the Jets. Work on some things. Get some confidence back. You guys play the Dolphins on Thursday.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. So everybody's been playing that up for this coming week because they a rematch between those two guys from college. Okay, you guys beat the Raiders, Titans.
Good for us. We should really be 2-1. We should have not lost to Brian Dabble. If our defense is super concerning, they can't hold leads. That's what happened with the Giants.
Finally you're like, okay. But yeah, anyways, Tennessee.
I would be super concerned if I was Oakland, if you had literally a team that was a playoff team last year just fall so bad from looking like they are incompetent. I mean, and they are
honestly,
incompetent.
The Raiders have always been incompetent.
No. But that's the problem, though, is that you can be incompetent, But like everybody, you traded for Devontae Adams. He's not part of
Mm.
the scheme. Josh Jacobs isn't being used the way he should be used. Derek Carr's going to be your. That's why he stayed and paid extra, because they knew they were going to sandbag him a little bit with the media and everything like that. Instead of just saying it's Josh, because the thing they're not doing is they're not talking trash about Josh McDaniels. Because I saw those games. There was a pick in the end zone. There was a lot of stuff that didn't help them, and their offense has been bad because they literally have no offensive line. Remember, they have a couple guys who got injured. They trade away some guys too. They trade away Alex Leatherwood, who was their first round pick last year, and they gave up on him. I mean, listen, I get it. We had Austin Jackson, I think was his name was, and we traded him in a heartbeat. Was it Austin Jackson? We sent someone into you like 2 years ago because he was a problem child. This guy wasn't a problem child. He was just overpicked. Welcome to the NFL, where guys get reached on. But I was just like, ooh, buddy. It was just insane. And you do have some pieces that work in, but then they cut Kenyon Drake. Remember, they did a lot of stuff to get rid of people, and this is the whole Patriots mentality, I think, that is infectious to a degree, like a cancer with any coach who leaves that isn't Bill himself. Because it isn't just Josh, it's also Ziegler or whatever his name is, the GM, where now those chickens come home to roost. And yes, the AFC West is not as tough as it is, but just because the Broncos look anemic doesn't take away the fact that they're 2-1 and you are 0-3.
And you still got Kansas City in your division. So
Kansas City's gonna be fine.
Kansas City's like the default division winner.
Like we'll segue into that game right now. Everybody's talking trash. I watched parts of that game too because of Red Zone. Everybody's talking trash and blaming Eric Bieniemy for being soft. Harrison Butker is injured. They had Matt Amendola who missed 2 chip shots. It happens. Stop with this, Matt. I hate this so much, Matt. Stop with this presumption that football scores, even if you have a stud quarterback and players, are going to have the Madden rookie mode scoring process where they can get 70. Yeah. Like, you don't watch football if you have those expectations. Y'all were rubbing. Yeah. I was about to say something very obscene right now, so I'm not going to do it. But y'all were licking the taint of the Colts earlier this season as being the team to beat in the AFC South. So what? Just because they beat your critical darling of the Chiefs after 3 games out when they weren't doing so well, now you're going to play shocked? Now you're going to blame Eric Bieniemy? Now you're going to create this false narrative and drama about, they missed Tyreek. Oh, Bieniemy and Mahomes are fighting. Oh, Andy Reid's getting too old. Shut the hell up.
It's already too magnified. Like, Kansas City's gonna be fine. Right? The team they always have like a game like this, anyways. They have.
You lost by 3.
Yeah.
Your quarterback didn't throw 5 picks
on the road,
in a game like Joe Burrow did.
Yeah. You're on the road.
The reason why you lost is because you couldn't kick the ball because your kicker is injured. How often have you seen kicker is injured? Not that often. Take the facts. Don't take your opinions.
Alrighty. So that was Casey.
This is a sports show, Francisco.
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I mean, we might as well keep going on this AFC South, AFC West train. The Jaguars beat the Chargers.
Good. Because I'm not saying I don't love me some Justin Herbert. But that's another one where if I was just talking about not putting 2 in the game, Herbert was not in the game. I have never had a rib injury. I could barely deal with just my busted hands and my busted knees from years of working out. Herbert has a rib contusion, cartilage busted out. And I understand that your backup is Chase Daniel, and that could be very concerning. Why are you going to risk more time off for your guy than just because of something that can get medical leave instead of, it doesn't have a justified reason for being out for like the 5 weeks the way Dak is. So you deserved to lose. And they were a whole bunch of injuries over there in Los Angeles. Keenan Allen was out. A few other people were out. And I get that. But this is also a good win for Jacksonville because they're 2-1. Okay, we're not even a quarter way through, kids. I'm not going to worry about it. There's obvious weaknesses I already told you guys last week of how I felt on this team. But what this should tell you, the reason why you should root for the Jaguars to a degree is because this proves that they were right to hire the right guy in Doug Peterson. Yeah. Where everybody looks competent, everybody looks happy, everybody looks like they understood the assignment. Yeah. This is what you want in football, though, for a poverty-stricken franchise.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably in like the best situation for himself. Right, he's got a Super Bowl ring. Great. Yeah. He's out of Philly, so he doesn't have that microscope. He kind of coast for now. the cons are not gonna just fire him.
They're not gonna CM Punk him.
After what the Urban Meyer experience, like that ain't gonna happen. The CM Punk thing. I actually understand this now, and it all works. See? It all comes back to wrestling, as you always say. Anyways, yeah. So, I mean, it was a good win for Jacksonville. I was happy for them, to be honest. That was like Lawrence's first actual like real win. So, yeah. So it was good. It was fun. Okay. So, let's see what's the scoreboard here. We got the Panthers beat the Saints.
Yeah.
But
that's another thing. Jameis is hurt. He has 4 fractured vertebrae in his back.
Like, I've seen the old takes exposed thing where like they were saying, "Oh, Jameis might win this." One guy said Jameis might win the MVP. I'm just like, all right, that guy was high. But
I feel bad for Jameis. I literally have hurt my back. Yeah. I'm like recovering from the last couple of months. That's why I've been going back on getting like the massages twice a month. Why? I understand he's a big boy. I understand he's tough. I understand that it's very tough to say no to a big ass contract. But holy shit, man. You can't put Andy Dalton in for one game?
Yeah.
Just one game?
He's serviceable. Jesus. Against the Carolina Panthers? Yes. Very serviceable. Yeah. Right?
Christian McCaffrey got 100 yards.
Exactly. He'll get you a victory. It's not impossible for him to do. He did it in Dallas.
Is this really showing how like average a quarterback Baker is?
Yeah.
Or is this just showing that Matt Rule doesn't know how to coach? I don't know how to take it.
It's a little bit of both, to be honest. But I think it's a little bit of both, really. And I don't know, maybe Baker's kind of in a weird thing. I don't know if he's still kind of injured too. Who knows? And he's got to find his way. Honestly, this is a transition year for him, so I'm not going to be too harsh on him.
But the problem is you're in a transition year when you're up for contract as well.
I know. And honestly,
that's very hard.
Yeah, but he's in a situation where he can kind of flourish if he does like start, getting his groove back, honestly. Yeah. He's just got to get his mojo back. That's all it is. And it's hard. I mean, it's kind of sort of. I mean, in that division, they're not gonna like Tampa Bay is the default winner of that division, anyways.
Very true.
So,
but they did lose.
I know.
Let's freak out about one game where both your starting receivers are injured.
Yeah, well,
and you have to sign Cole Beasley, who's so afraid to get one needle jab. I covered like 5,000 times.
Oh, let's see. All right, so Carolina, Baltimore beat New England.
Good.
So
listen, I'm gonna say, man, I feel like I'm very defensive today, so forgive me. Y'all should not be like laughing at how sad Mac Jones looked. I have sprained my ankle playing basketball when we were down at FIU. That shit hurts. Yeah. I think I'm just hating the people who hide behind the walls, man, in that sense, because I felt bad for the dude.
It's this Madden mentality. People just think, oh, you see the injury on thing. They don't really people don't realize how much shit hurts.
Because I would rather break my hand again, and I've done that too, than ever have a high ligament sprain on my ankle again. You gotta walk around. That's 200 pounds that you have to shift around coming into it. It sucks that you have to learn how to use crutches, and it's not even the fact that. And look, we made a lot of Mac Jones jokes throughout the years. I called him Wonder Bread not too long ago, or I said that he makes Wonder Bread looks interesting.
Draft,
Yeah, but seriously, man, like I felt bad, and Twitter be saying, and listen, I understand that as human beings, we laugh at fucked up stuff.
It's the internet, I get Twitter. NFL Twitter too,
Like, listen, if I see a car crash, I slow it down to see if I see.
And they were kind of right that Mac Jones is kind of basically a meme factory.
He is very much a meme factory, but I think there is a line between, dark humor, grim humor, black humor, and just full out dickishness.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's where I go into it. I'm like, this dickishness, because y'all can say what you want, but it's all fun and games till Deshaun Watson hits the field, right? Just saying.
Next, let's see. Let's go back here. Why does this keep taking me all the way back? I just want to see the game. I have to keep re-clicking this. Anyways, let's see. New England, blah, blah, blah. Okay, next. I feel so sorry for Detroit, man.
It's kind of expected, though. That team only did win 2 games last year.
They were up 24-14.
That's the product of being a bad team, is that you don't have all the pieces.
I know.
It, is the fact that
Like, I feel like Minnesota didn't deserve to win that game.
No, but DeAndre Swift got hurt again,
I
which
know.
is unfortunate because DeAndre Swift was part of the Baby Bessos Club 2 years ago when I went back to
I
it.
remember. Yes.
So we have that. I feel bad for them. I really want Jared Goff to succeed. I understand that Matt Stafford got a title out 3 left, and you're stuck with that stigma, and that's life. But I'm kind of sick of also first round quarterbacks just fanning out and flaming out, if that makes sense. You want to see some consistency, damn it. If everybody's a Jamarcus Russell, then you should never draft a quarterback in the first round ever again.
Yeah.
But
he played. He was all right. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But
yeah, but that's the whole thing is people are so absent-mindedness when it comes to criticisms with their hate trains come in.
Yeah.
That they just think one thing. Where they think, oh, he couldn't win the game. Yeah, but he didn't play defense in that final quarter.
Yeah.
I think there's also a sweet irony because
Detroit gave you what they that offense gave you what they could. 24 points, leading after 3,
which is a high amount of points too.
Yeah.
Especially for a Russell Wilson-led team.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So yeah, Detroit, man. I want to see them win. So I just like everything. Dan Campbell, everything about them is just so likable. But they're lovable losers. They really.
You know what's weird? I called him a Chad last year when he was talking about eating at the kneecaps. But when that first game, I was like, I saw all I need to see last week, or no, like 2 weeks ago. I was like, all right, now I know that we're good. Yep. We got something going on.
Eagles beat Washington 24-8.
We talk about one quarterback going to another team and almost succeeding, but I don't know how I feel. Part of me, is it a Carson Wentz thing, or is it Ron Rivera, or is it the Eagles are that good? I don't know how to decipher that.
For that division, the Eagles are that good. For that division. Given the state of the division, the Eagles are that good. I feel, they've got the momentum going for them. New York is like they shouldn't have been, where they were at. You guys screwed up that first game in Tennessee.
That's on me. Yeah, that's on me. Sorry.
but I like what Philly's doing, man. I do.
I like their receivers. Going right,
yeah. Oh yeah. Devontae Smith got a touchdown. Your boy AJ got a touchdown too.
I know. I just miss him so much.
Yeah, I know. So very nice, 169 yards for Devontae. Jalen 340 for 3 touchdowns.
Got to be concerned of how often he runs, right?
Washington's just bad.
They're just terrible.
Yeah, they're just a terrible team. So I don't know how much you can fault Ron Rivera for that.
But it's Dan Snyder, so yeah. Well, Carson Wentz is just remember that meme where like, this one Carson Wentz is just responsible for everything. That's what it is. He lets all the bad things.
He threw, let's say, 211 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
But he can't move offense. It's the same thing as last year. But, like Mount St. Helens, when that exploded, nice. Carson Wentz did it.
Yeah. Okay, so that was
Dan Snyder team. So fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. So I'll talk about that. The Bears beat the Texans. Is
Justin Fields good? Like, this is tough because they have no receivers whatsoever. But he's making me think I can throw the ball better than him.
This could be one of those seasons. Because remember, I've said this before. The Bears always have every 5 or 6 years have a season where they have a mediocre quarterback, but on the backs of their defense are able to win that division.
Which is it feels like that's every Bears season, bro.
Yeah. But it's
how's it feel knowing that your best quarterback in franchise history is Jay Cutler?
But 6 to 7 years around that time, the Bears give you a season where their defense is elite enough to carry them into a playoff spot. Winning,
they did with Mitch Trubisky,
exactly. And then Rex Grossman before that, all that type of stuff. It's
Jay Cutler as well.
Yeah, Jay Cutler. So it's that. So this Bears team, maybe, especially depending on Green Bay, because the way things are, you think Green Bay, okay, the default guys. But
can't wait till we get to that one, baby.
We'll wait a little bit. We got let's first stop on the petty train. the Rams beat the Cardinals. So Matt Stafford threw for 249 yards. Not for a touchdown or anything, but you got Cam Akers and Cooper Kupp did their thing. Kyler throwing for a very empty amount of 314 yards. A very empty calories, you would say. Really, right? This felt like empty calories, the game.
That's what I always tell people. Garbage time, right? The Call of Duty beta came out, so that second half. He's got Marquise Brown, right? I was supposed to be the big turnaround. AJ Green was hanging out in there.
Yep. Their kicker, did the thing. He scored all the points. So
it was like in the last 2 minutes or the last quarter where everything had to come around because Kyler once again could not initiate any offense. Are they 0-3 now too?
No, they're 1-2. Remember they got that one victory.
Oakland. Because that's Oakland though.
Yeah, it's the Raiders. It's almost like a non-starter. Yeah. You know how bad the Raiders are. We're still referring to them as the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, well, you know what? Look, you've been in Oakland longer than I've been, than in Vegas. So the math is going to be telling me that I'm going to refer you as Oakland.
Yeah, so the Cardinals, they're just empty calories. The game, it was just like he put up numbers for nothing, really. Which has been
okay. So I hate to be nerdy on this, but when I was more invested in a lot of sports, and I'm still invested in sports. I still check the tracker all the time and everything. But when there's a first round pick,
what are you doing fantasy basically? Yeah.
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah.
With this time without the competition, it's just to me to know how to be right about stuff. Because what do I get off most on Francisco besides cheap deals? Being right.
Yeah.
I was going to go somewhere with something and then I lost my train of thought for a second. But so I remember when Kyler had first started and I was seeing his stat lines. It was very similar to those stat lines that you read, that they come up as a whole. They look impressive. 300 yards, 400 yards, a lot of rushing yards, passing as well. And then you realize per quarter breakdown, they are just atrocious. They are just ass. And when I say ass, I mean real ass, not a good ass, but a bad ass, in that sense. So you would look into it and you'd be like, what the hell is this? And then people just kept selling on the guy. And I do the same thing with a lot of first rounds. And I'll do that with a quarterback because the idea is that only the last 5-10 years have they gone to start a first-round quarterback with no experience in the pro game at all lately to build into it. And so I take big note into that. Running backs is whatever. Same thing with receivers. You just kind of know. But I was like, all right, because Lamar didn't go immediately when he started out, but Kyler injected immediately. Couldn't even be worse enough to start Josh Rosen. And in that first season, I think they went 6-10. So you're telling me you couldn't have put Josh Rosen in that very beginning to start out until Kyler got seasoned? So he just doesn't do it for me. I'm not crazy about it. And these games, now that people figure out his scheme more, his O-line's really bad, and his defense doesn't help him. So if you're paying money to guys, sometimes too what you want to know is how they can do playing catch-up. And it's kind of tough because it's an unfair sport where we put a lot of blame on one person because he can't catch the ball either. He can't block. He can't do all this. But I'm just not a Kyler guy. And the only way I'm going to become a Kyler guy...
He doesn't inspire you.
Yeah, the only way I'll become a Kyler guy is the same way how I'll become an Aaron Rodgers guy, where now you have to win the big one. Plain and simple.
Let's see. Atlanta beat Seattle.
Good for Mariota. Even though it was against a team that is not structurally...
rebuilding.
Yeah. Is that even the word, rebuilding? Kind of half-assing it.
I don't know. I don't see Seattle as... They're not going to do anything this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird transition period, but
they got the one win that they needed to get.
I guess so. Yeah, they did. Speaking of that, Denver and San Francisco.
Jimmy G.
Probably the worst game of the year so far. It might be the worst game of this season when we look back on it.
Jimmy G. They would have won that game had he not done the safety. That's how your season is going to be remembered. How does that make you feel? Someone give him the call so he doesn't jump off the bridge because, man...
He's too handsome. He can't.
He's very handsome. He's muy guapo.
There's no way people will let him do that.
Well, this hurts me because I'm a Jimmy G defender.
Yeah.
I'm a Jimmy G defender. I said they were going to go to the Super Bowl last year. They still might now. I haven't made those determinations. but it doesn't help. And mind you, Trent Williams went down, and if Trent Williams went down, that's their starting left tackle. That's your $100 million man. There are some things about him that matter, and you don't have your starting guy. That's going to hurt you. But that safety, that awareness, and of course Dan Orlovsky. And I got problems with Dan Orlovsky being a big commentator. I was so happy because he was the other guy who did the safety, right? They came out. Jimmy G hurted me. Jimmy G hurt me, and
I don't know.
I can't tell you what's happening.
I can't say that's. I mean, I can't say that's like a damning thing. It's just that. Yeah,
I think it's just because the conference that he's in, each game matters so much.
But they got lucky. They got lucky that was it? Like I mean, Arizona's not great, so they got that. And they were in this position last year where they kind of didn't start off too great, and then just kind of got hot at the end.
Yeah,
so
true.
They made it to the championship game anyways, so it's not like I can't say once again I can't say it's damning for San Francisco and that they can't come back from this.
Yeah, but this is what your season is. Yeah. The season has not started well for them because you get Trey Lance and then you lose to the Bears and he breaks his ankle
and you lose any ground on Los Angeles and it's like okay.
Yeah, well think about it. It's the comedy game because you lost to the Bears. And then Trey Lance breaks his ankle. So
I don't know. I still feel like that Bears game with all that rain, it's just kind of like a weird thing.
But look what happened. You in theory should have been 2-1, and you end up being 1-2. Yeah. And it's a game that you had no excuse to lose because it wasn't like as if a guy lost his assignment and got blown in coverage.
Yeah.
As a corner, it was literally like if you just didn't take 2 steps further out and you just toss the ball away, that's it.
Yeah. Like the Bears game, I kind of like it's literally a wash, literally and figuratively a wash. But yeah, this game is a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay, the Cowboys beat the Giants.
Didn't watch that.
So,
but Daniel Jones, fraudulent.
Nobody believed in this. Believe me, nobody believed in the Giants team. So,
my buddy Ross, who is a
Giants fan,
was all hyped up to it, and he had that victory on me, and it hurt. I almost told him I hope his daughter doesn't get into a private school, but I wasn't that mean.
All right, and then finally, the Packers and the Bucks. Mention of it, So, I like the memes coming into it. With the loser has to call their family.
Yeah, loser has to call their family. But here's the thing, though. One of them has a family to go home to. Oof. That hurt. I don't know their business. That was even tough for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't care for Aaron Rodgers. The last year and a half has really shown, the either die a hero or live yourself long enough to be a villain.
Yeah.
Coming into it. But everybody is they know not to crown Green Bay because that offense, if he only got you 14 points, when it was in comparison, should have been 21 or 28 the last couple of years. But they just hate so much Tampa Bay and Brady, and they don't want to come back to the facts. And what does the facts tell us? The facts tell us that Mike Evans is suspended for 1 game for being a ride-or-die soldier, and Chris Godwin isn't ready to come back from surgery, or from his surgery, still isn't fully capacity. And then Julio Jones was out. Yeah. So your top 3 receivers are legitimately gone. You got to get Cole Beasley, who is probably giving I'm going to say this. I don't care. Guys, follow us on Twitter. FJOJR, Dan Frijoles, Charles the True, Sports Goofs. He was probably giving a fluffer to Tucker Carlson right before he got the call. And he was like, oh, 1 second, let me finish. And then after he finished his his jerk emotion, then he went over to Tampa and handled it. Oh, fuck that guy. Fuck them both. I don't care. Yeah. And I tried to come in with that heat because I don't know these people.
I get it.
But you know what? This is one of the times I'll give myself a pass and I won't call myself a hypocrite.
Whatever. I don't know.
So
we can say what we want. They can say what they want on their show. So.
Yeah. Except the only difference is no one on our show gives us enough money in comparison to Tucker Carlson and then whatever podcast Cole Beasley is going to say. Cole Beasley's it's going to be that guy. He's like, I'm the one NFL player that not only spent great times with the Dallas Cowboys and Buffalo Bills, but I fought the system. I can see it now. I fought the system, their COVID policies and inconsistencies. Did you? Anywho. So people just wanted to shit on that, and then I watched. We shifted from red zone to the actual game when it was the last bits, and then Brady couldn't get the play done. You take away nothing from that game because on one side, no one's healthy for the Bucks, and on the other side, the rookies that Green Bay has in Romeo Dubes, and then Christian Watkins or Watson isn't healthy. Sammy Watkins on the IR, so that's their luck. Am I enjoying what's happening to the Packers? No. Am I enjoying what's kind of happening to Rodgers? Yeah. It's good. Like they're probably still going to be in competition, and that division is still wide open, no matter what we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's a game.
Minnesota's there. They're if they play to their expectations, they can do something. And the Bears, once again, if they have one of those fluke years, then whatever. And maybe like the Lions are scrappy, so they could probably eke out a win against one of them.
Yeah, season. No season, guys, is over unless your starting player gets hurt. If Aaron Rodgers breaks his collarbone,
that's it.
Your season's done.
That's it. Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple.
Yeah. Like Chicago, honestly, would probably move on.
They're like, oh.
It's like, okay, well, there's a slightly default.
We're like, oh, hey, who's our backup? Trevor Siemian? All right.
Okay, so we're at hour 46. College. I mean, I'm not gonna go deep into college football, but
I got one sentence to say about college football. One sentence. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
If you are trying to sell me on the fact that Mario Cristobal was the best fit for Miami because the fact that he likes empanadas, I'm pretty sure Manny Diaz liked empanadas.
This theme of hiring the Latino coach that has the Miami ties is not really working out.
No. Every fucking time.
Like
making me miss Mark Ritt.
Yeah. Oh.
That's saying something.
He's on the ACC network. You can always get him back.
Oh no, Mark! Give a shout to Mark. He's fighting. I don't know if it's ALS, but he has one of those things. So
he was kind of like I don't know, but whatever.
Mark, this hire, the hire of this man, I'm telling you, was straight fucking up. The fact that why is this? His hire was because of the fact that people thought he was going to be the best thing in Oregon. And what happened was you can have your scheme in Oregon, but unless you're, Lincoln Riley, who was playing that breakout for a long time, you don't have the recruits for the system here, man. And your love of the Latino food is not enough to sell me, because remember when they hired Cristobal? What was it I told you? Ugh. Mm-hmm. I was like, because he lost the bowl game in Oregon. I was like, this is concerning.
Yep. Well, you guys lost. I saw the game. Me and my dad saw it in our downtime in Denver.
We almost came back. In my head, I didn't care for it.
No, I mean, honestly, it was just like, okay, you got the kickoff run, which was more Middle Tennessee, just kind of already thinking the game was over, than anything else. And then after that, they got the two big plays, those big throws down. It was like, okay, that was it. Miami secondary or what the hell was going on, it was not happening. So,
how do you not tell people just, hey, that it was the goal line one that pissed me off? I think it pissed off everybody.
Yeah. That was the funniest one. I was laughing after that one.
But how do you not go and be like, why did you press? Why did you press, Mario Cristobal? Did you underestimate your? I felt like one sentence became like a diatribe. He hasn't pressed me much. I'm Shania Twain this shit. Oh, so you coach at Oregon? That don't impress me much. Do.
Yep. Andrew's happy UCF won, so they're gonna beat Georgia Tech. So
because they keep losing, so that's why it's happening.
And let's see, nobody cares about FIU. And my Seminoles spanked Boston College the way they should have. So,
hey, why aren't you guys ranked?
We'll see.
That's a very fundamental question. You're the only undefeated team in Florida.
I mean, we'll see. I'm glad the Gators lost. Tennessee might actually be back. That'd be funny if they resurrected their program finally. It's semi-back. Anyways, so there you go. And then I guess the only other thing was like Texas lost to Texas Tech, which was funny. I laughed at that. So that was fun. So look, I don't mind the Seminoles flying under the radar for now, right? I still they still got to prove themselves in some ways. They were kind of shaking those games against actual opponents. Boston College, they spaked them to the way that gave me confidence. Like, okay, they can beat teams that they're supposed to beat,
which is all we asked for in college.
Yeah.
Don't
but
lose to Middle
honestly,
Tennessee.
if they run the table and they get to that game and they can beat the Canes, then I'll feel better. So, after that, then I'm like, okay, all right. So
November is going to be a very interesting month for you and I, because when that game comes, and if I already lost, I lost caring after the first week. Because when we dropped 70 points, I'm like, this is going to be the peak thing for us. And so I already knew. So they had to really get me back.
I mean,
we play Clemson, I think.
You're the Charles, but it's really just you and the Yankees right now. So
yeah. I mean, Jimmy Butler changes look.
Ooh. Oh, we're at an hour and 50. I mean,
we can transition
right now. Just a little. I mean, it's not much.
College football don't
It's
matter.
media. NHL and NBA have already had their media days. NHL's already in training camp. NBA's starting training camp. So that's...
Y'all already know who we're going to talk about. If it's not a Heat player, it's going to be Kevin Durant and LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, KD had the I mean, just like the man's vibe, man.
I'm so good, you ain't going to throw him away for nothing.
Yeah.
Buy a bag of chips with your money, but don't buy a bag of chips that's been open and ate.
So, just teams are back. The Heat are training out in the Bahamas right now, which actually might be the most sound thing right now because they might not get any remnants of the hurricane, or at least not much of it. So that's cool. And Jimmy's clean shaven and got the dreads going.
It's scary how young he looks.
Yeah, that's true.
I was literally taken aback. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's two different men.
Yeah. So the Heat are back. There's people have questions. Kyle Lowry lost weight supposedly. And apparently he says, according to him, that Pat Riley didn't say, he didn't lose the weight because Pat Riley told him to.
Yeah, Pat had a bunch of goons showed up at his dime house, man.
So there's on the screen, there's Jimmy in his hair. He's out hanging in the Bahamas. He loves that they have dominoes there. He loves playing dominoes, So you got
I can never get into dominoes. Is that big with your family?
I mean, we've played, but it's not really a thing. You know what I mean? But then again, my family literally is a gaming family, in a sense. So
yeah, my family, we don't hang around with the Colombian side for reasons, and then my mom's side, it was my grandfather put a chessboard in front of me, which explains a lot when I think about it now. But anywho, why is Kyle still on my team?
Because you're paying money, man. He's paying money. You gotta pay that money.
I pay the government taxes, and there's still part of me that wants the uprising. So what the hell does this mean?
Means we're gonna roll the dice and see what we can do with these guys. That's what we got. We got him. We got Jimmy. We got Tyler. We got Bam.
I want is him off my team.
We'll see how Depot does, because that's really the X factor. If Victor Oladipo has himself a season, that could be the thing.
That's what you say, but you know what Depot really is? He's a trade bait this time.
If you want, I mean, true. If you want to swing some big things, right?
Yeah, because the contract is big enough to get middle line veterans.
If Brooklyn is still having some issues and KD still wants out,
you can't afford that, man.
Or Kyrie, and you do a little flip of him and Kyle.
I mean, I'm gonna be more surgical. You're being more hopeful. I'm being surgical. I'm saying you trade him for a actual point guard who can actually stay healthy and isn't 39 years old. Because that's the issue. I get so passionate about sometimes. Yeah. I just quell it up.
Lonzo's hurt. He's got some weird thing.
Poor guy. Yeah. Poor guy. His knees hurt all the time. Yeah. My knees hurt all the time, and I don't do a quarter what that man does.
Yeah.
Do we care about LiAngelo? So LiAngelo Ball got signed by the Charlotte Hornets, and it kind of feels like a pity thing from Jordan just to make sure that the Ball family stays there.
I mean, it's not really the Ball family. It's just that he's literally the best thing they've had in a long time.
No, I'm talking about LaMelo. So LaMelo's there. LiAngelo.
Oh, LiAngelo. Whoops, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was mixing up the.
Because we have Lonzo, who's now in
Chicago, who he had a great bounce back year. It's just kind of sad because he looked like he was finally finally coming to his own.
Yep.
Yeah, because he had that thing in New Orleans, but it was weird. Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like the Bucks when they had both of the two of the Antetokounmpo brothers.
Yeah.
So it might, or the Zoran and Goran Dragic. That might be one of those things. It's like, we'll keep the worser brother just to keep you happy.
Yeah, it's a non-guaranteed contract too, so you get rid of them anytime. And now with the G League, I guess it allows maneuverability.
Yeah, there's two-way contracts, so they can, bring them up, have them do one of those 10-day things, and that's.
And I don't know how. Now we're getting like super analytical, but I'm gonna tell you right now. You put Lonzo, and you put LaMelo in front of me, and you put a mask over their face, and I can't see the mask. Their play style is so accurate and so similar that I want to know what LiAngelo is missing that he couldn't like keep that same standard of production.
Yeah. Like, what can you develop in the G League for him to kind of get that, or at least be half of that, right?
Because they're both
coming off the bench. That could really work out, right?
Maybe. I mean, like Lonzo and LaMelo are both assist-friendly passing point guards. Who LaMelo's a little bit of a better scorer, obviously, but Lonzo has improved a little bit, just because he's not taking stupid shots.
Yeah.
It's the Ben Simmons role, to which Ben Simmons, for whatever reason, is not put into, which is just being a six-man, essentially. Even though LaMelo is a starter, Lonzo was also a starter, and that should change when LeBron came around. Yes, so Jimmy, KD, Lonzo, poor Lonzo on his knees. I got nothing else so far on NBA.
It's just whatever. People are back. The Warriors are back. The Cavs,
I did like that tweet that you sent.
Yeah, the Cavs have their squad, and so that's
super interested.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And then
I'm not going to call them scary yet, but could be.
And potentially, right? Especially if Jared Allen's healthy, all that stuff. All those guys are together to see if Donovan Mitchell has a big year, big like show me year. So that could be a thing. And then yeah, I mean, there's not really much else. You got frickin' Phoenix and their owner. And then you got the fallout in Boston.
Oh, well, wow. I like how we literally skipped over the two biggest ones.
Yeah.
Like, we don't care, because it's expected.
Everybody's talked about it,
But we haven't talked about the real thing that matters in Phoenix. Chris Paul can get any owner got.
Man's a harbinger of doom.
Never bring him to Miami.
That's why he's the president. That's why he's the president of the Players Association.
Motherfucking Tony Soprano of basketball over here.
Yeah,
moving and shaking things.
I mean, it ain't a bad thing.
No, of course not. Listen, I'm all for this.
Yeah,
I just find this because the Donald Sterling stuff was evident racism. The Sarver thing was just very aloof billionaire, at least the very small parts of it that I read, because there were parts where we just asked people if they shared their privates and everything like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this? It's just like, this is just water cooler talk. I'm gonna say no. I'm not gonna say that in the air. There's some times where there's no answer, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna ease up on it. Right. Where
there's some things where even in your head you're like, I would counsel myself.
I'll say it over after the show's done, and then you'll tell me if it's appropriate or not. And so, like the Sarver stuff, and that's good because he's not just selling them, but he's also selling the Mercury, and that's good for them too. I think the loss.
It's good for the league.
Yeah, it's good for both.
He's gonna make a ton of money, so it's not like whatever.
It's Phoenix,
best
so right now
golden parachute. So
yeah, it's like the worst thing you do is tell a billionaire that hey, you have to sell your team so you can make more money.
Exactly.
Please.
Exactly.
Ime Odeka.
They're about to get the he essentially got everything laid out. He's got a good team, and the property or the value of the team has gone up, and he just got Phoenix to approve renovation of their arena, which is going to basically make it brand new. So anybody who's going to buy them is going to pay big money for it.
So here's my question. If that's what it took to get Sarver gone, what the hell do you have to get on Jerry Jones over in the NFL?
Oh, no, Jerry Jones ain't leaving. No,
I know, but that's the crazy part of it. I understand it's two different leagues, so I'm just saying.
And honestly, Jerry Jones ain't like, Dan Snyder.
Yeah,
I mean, like if you the pantheon of terrible NFL owners, and we haven't even gotten to the surprise thing that I wanted to do.
All I'm saying is that Jerry Jones hasn't been investigated.
Because it has something to do with
Dan
that.
Snyder.
It has something to do with that.
But we should do it for the Andrew show.
No, I need Andrew here because I need whatever. But anyways, we'll get into that. But Jerry Jones, as far as the pantheon of like terrible NFL owners, I mean, the man wants to win. He spends money. Yes, he's evil behind the scenes, that type of stuff. Him and Robert Kraft. But like, it's not like the incompetence of like Jimmy Haslam or Dan Snyder, freaking Browns owner. Whatever.
Well, Jimmy Haslam.
I already said that. Or the McCaskies in Chicago. Like it's not the same. Or frickin' the Colts owner, Irsay and his coked up, whatever. So yeah. What was I?
My comment on Udeka, and then we can end it, is this.
Yeah.
People are kind of like, I understand someone leaked the information about this man's personal life and it bothered people because we have opened up as a society to which cheating is more acceptable. It wasn't a polyamorous relationship, it was cheating. We don't know all the facts and people hate it and shit like that. And I've read certain things, but people are forgetting the fact that the fine is not a league fine. It's a suspension. It's a team imposed suspension. So
company policy.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not so much of an extramarital affair. What and this is dangerous on a speculation, but someone probably obviously complained about the fact that they didn't want to proceed with certain things anymore, and that's what that's in organizational structure, because you and I can say we've worked for organizations and businesses, and I have a supervisory role, and so do you. So there's things that sometimes put together, but that was the one thing that was really bothering me, because I'm just gonna say this right now. Mass media in sports is very gender biased, and I found it super interesting how a lot of male media analysts for sports were very, very high protective of Udoka's rights and privacies and everything like that when women are as players or management ownerships. And the reason why it doesn't come out that often is because it's rare, because you guys limit their opportunities to succeed. Man, just you go, girl, right? But the whole thing is that we're very defensive of that, and I don't think you would have the same kind of defensive position if it was like Kim Yang in the Marlins had an affair with Jazz Chisholm. That, hear me out. If you hear the whole stream, this is a hypothetical to prove a point. Nothing at all what I'm saying is a suspicion. I don't think the male culture in the media would be as protective of a man's privacy at home and everything like that. If anything, I think they would make bigger jokes about, like, well, it's Jazz Chisholm, he's 23, he's a young, handsome guy with great hair, probably a big old I can see it. And
then people will make fun of, like, oh, Kim Ang's robbing the cradle and want to sell cougar, all that type of stuff.
And so, like, with Udoka, because the only person who was like crazy about it was, and I forgot his name, Matt Barnes, which is like, damn, I didn't know it was that crazy like that.
Matt Barnes has done some things,
Yeah, so that's the thing that I'm just like very, very much in line on, because to me, in my mindset, man, what the difference between that is, because people don't understand the power struggle. If you had a male coach having a relationship with a female player in the WNBA, that's when we'll say that's the line, the outrage, because now we think player and management now, as opposed to somebody in office, general thing, because they took it away. It said office. They don't understand power of influence, pressure, things of that nature. And I'm going to say this right now. I know this is going to sound very off track, but I think it matters in today's culture, especially since we just had one sports organization really let down a lot of people with a suspension of someone who had clear-cut sexual allegations issued against them, is that you do realize that even asking somebody if you're on a date, or if you want to date them, and just saying, hey, I admit feelings for you, I care about you, do stuff like that, and you take into the equation that you have a relationship, whether it's on the rocks or not on the rocks, with a marriage or anything like that, that still could be unwanted approach to an employee, and that is a violation of a lot of standard HR laws at Wendy's, at Taco Bell, at Target, and at the Boston Celtics organization. So
it's literally just, this is like stuff that is normal everywhere,
and it would be the same violation in ESPN. And I found that there was a lot of male media analysts who were very quick to be like, even I know that that's his someone, from Stephen A.
Which
Smith,
makes you think, like,
lambasting other people for saying that someone in the Celtics organization leaked this up. No, someone in the Celtics organization didn't leak this out, because this is where you're hypocritical. Because let's say if you got noticed out of nowhere that Ime Udoka got suspended for an entire season for conduct detrimental to the team's policies, you're going to try to figure out and get the scoop what it is.
Yeah.
So don't give me that bull-faced lie.
Yeah. It wasn't leaked. You guys found it. You guys went searching for the information.
And I just want to put that out there, because I don't tweet. Like, congratulations to the one thing I sent that got me for my every 5 months tweeting of something or commenting. Yeah. I don't even do that shit unless it's you guys. But that's something that I'm like, oh, I have this platform. I'm actually going to utilize this platform for, instead of me on my petty train, for me, just like to call out some shit.
Yeah. Alrighty. So we're at 2 hours and 4 minutes. I mean, let's see what's up. You guys are beating the Blue Jays.
No Judge home run because he's not going to get
Nope,
one at all.
not yet. Let's see. The Marlins are actually beating the Mets. That's funny. And I don't care about the rest. All right, Charles. So let's do it. We already mentioned a little bit about CM Punk earlier on, but
and you know what? It is going to be, as promised from last week to this week, it is going to be a AEW heavy specialty episode. So welcome everybody, your weekly Truplex, the Cage with Charles. Full disclaimer, wrestling is not fake. It's a stage fight. It is scripted. It is a song and dance. It is a ballet. It is men and women being the holy hell of each other, try to establish their legacy, chase championships, make me entertained. And I think I'll say this for every Cage opening, is that this is like Dexter New Blood. This is, every spinoff of a TV show that you have, because I live in a life free of Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And I am free. I'll think of all the other spin-offs or TV shows or reboots that come into it. Without him, Dexter New Blood just came into my head for some reason because it kept the same cast of characters but different screenwriters and everything like that. I promise you, my pop culture ass will. This is House of the Dragon. It's okay. I haven't watched it yet. We're gonna go for this. Is God of War PS4, baby. You thought it was good on the PS2s 1 through 3 in Ascension. I got you now, baby. I got you on this stuff. So AEW. Do I want to do WWE? It's gonna be AEW centric, so let's make it about WWE. I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I purposely chose to watch Raw. I've been watching Sports Match.
Yeah, the stuff on the group chat, man. You are liking everything that's going on.
There's some things that can go stale.
H.
Yeah, Senor H, Daddy
Senor
H,
Triple,
Papa H.
Triple H.
Yeah, Triple H. There's some things that can go stale pretty quickly eventually if they don't come into it. Do I still think that there's some people that they need to shuffle around or reintroduce or take a moment to focus on storylines? Sure. That's the nature.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is the transition
it's absolutely what I want it to be.
Okay. I was going to say, is it up to like your expectation or your standard,
So it's more in line with, so remember, Triple H had NXT, as they call it, the NXT Black and Gold, before he got removed and Vince had to come in and do
basically
everything.
Like the developmental league, right?
Yeah, so. And so I saw the takeover pay-per-views, I saw the storylines there, so there was things that I liked about it already that I knew I was going to like, and a lot of that has kind of transitioned here because he brought back people to NXT, he brought up people for NXT, he got re-signed people to NXT. So there's things that are going to work for my liking. Other people, they might not, and I get that, but for me, this is what I need. But the biggest payoff, man, is that I'm actually watching the TV product when it's on.
Yeah.
And
you're like live, not live tweeting, but like live posting.
Yeah, live reactioning,
yeah,
I think is the way we would say it.
Yeah.
Because I don't have Fox, but the SmackDown stuff, I'm like looking at it because maybe this is where I'll start with it after I go from there. The Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns stuff is fantastic. We the ones, baby. Raw, I'm watching it over football. There's 3 Monday Night Footballs in a row I've chosen to watch, and I could watch those games. Granted, I didn't care about the Cowboys and the Giants, but I was entertained from Raw from start to finish. They have the proper planting of seeds. The workers look more happy. My complaint about Raw is that the matches are too long. And the reason why I would say the problem with it, with the matches being too long sometimes on television, is with some shorter matches. I'm not talking about the 3 to 5 minute matches that Vince would give you, but some of these matches are going 15 to 20 to 25. Is that if you have other people on the roster, don't let them be forgotten unless they're going through some character changes. And there might be some character changes coming. I don't know. H has only been in effect for like a month and change, right? A month and a half. But if you let a lot of people see the groundwork of what a wrestler's talent could be with somebody in a match, and if they have to go and have a match on a pay-per-view, or if they see too much of that frequency against an opponent, even though it's not the pay-per-view opponent, how am I going to be blown away, right? So that's the one thing is my preliminary caution on it. But I have been enjoying a lot of things, and we'll go with Raw. This is how I'll do it. We'll be giving the Triple H his grade, and then we'll go to AEW on something. So what I've liked about Raw is I'm invested. I want to watch it. It's not cheesy to a degree. There's things that hit more than miss. The returns have been good. Johnny Gargano came back last month. I was like, oh my God. His wife came back last night, Candice LeRae, completely unannounced too. She was very big in NXT, was there for like 5-6 years. She's a mainstay veteran. She was big on the indies. She's known for wrestling the Young Bucks. She's real cool with people, man. She's badass, man. Like we like Candice LeRae here, so I'm very happy that she's back. And I love Johnny, even though he's undersized. And listen, yes, Would I love every one of my favorite wrestlers to hold the biggest titles? Yes, obviously, it's great. But when you get joy out of somebody, whether or not you see them win or lose, as long as they're on your television, that was the problem with Vince, is that there was obvious talent, but he didn't know what to do with them. And you forget that sometimes you don't have to have them in a story. You just put out there and let them wrestle for a TV show, for a pay-per-view, for a one-month feud. Johnny wouldn't have had that opportunity. Ciampa wouldn't have had that opportunity, even though Vince did call it Ciampa eventually, but he changed his schedule around. Loomis is out there. He's the one, the hockey that I sent you guys last night, that's chasing the Miz and stalking around.
Yeah,
with the Canucks. So no, that was Kevin Owens' the Canucks jersey. It was the whatever Edmonton's team, Oilers. The guy with the blonde hair. See, wrestling is everywhere. So it's getting good. You're getting invested in the emotional story. So Raw's been good by showing me the fighting product. It does miss having a world championship on that show, though, because as great as Bobby Lashley is as a U.S. champ, it still undersizes the fact that it's still a secondary belt. How do you say so, Charles? I say so because of the fact that it's not the main title. And even though Bobby and H, to a degree, has bought back the prestigiousness of a mid-card championship, the U.S. title, you still know that's not the superior title for that brand. That's on SmackDown, where Roman is the Universal Championship and everything of that nature, because he's the undisputed Universal WWE Championship. Say that 5 times fucking fast. I don't know when they're going to drop those titles. We thought Drew was going to win Clash of Kings. Going to SmackDown, my grades for Triple H is that the stories are just good for me, man. Like, I am engaged, I am laughing, I'm invested, because they're playing the long game instead of the short fix. And I felt like Vince did a lot of the short fix. The Sami Zayn Usos Bloodline storyline is fantastic. For those who have not been following me and everything that's going on. The Bloodline consists of Roman Reigns, your undisputed Universal WWE Championship, the Usos, who are the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Jimmy and Jey Uso, and then Solo Sikoa is the brother of the Usos, cousin Roman Reigns, who helped Roman retain his title at Clash at the Champions. Or Clash of the Castle. He was at NXT and he got called up. He had won the North American Championship, dropped it, was vacated, and going from there. And they have Paul Heyman, who is their wise man. They're the ones, the bloodline. They've been dominant. Roman's had a 2-year plus reign as the top champion. All the stuff that kind of came in. And just when you thought it was really going to get stale, because I was ready for Drew to drop, or not Drew, but I was ready for Drew to win the title off of Roman, won them at least. Then they infused Sami Zayn, because Roman's whole gimmick is being the tribal chief. Acknowledge me. That's why when we play Splatoon and we're dirty and we mess them up, I'll send you the acknowledgement gifts, or the Usos where they raise the finger in the air as the tag teams, because we let them know that we're the ones. But then they infused Sami Zayn, who, the best way I could describe him, if you ever watch Recess, he's the Randall, the redhead, the sneak. He's the master manipulator. He was one of the best baby faces in NXT. He was El Generico in his indie days, and his backstory was like he was a lucha libre wrestler who, when he retired, he went to go save kids in the orphanage or something of that ilk. So it was a Arabic Canadian who had a lucha libre name and wore a mask. It's just great. Wrestling is just an enjoyment for me. So Sammy and his ridiculousness, if we remember where he was earlier this year, he gave us the WrestleMania match versus Johnny Knoxville of Jackass, which was actually great entertainment, and he lost, and he spiraled into it where Roman asked for one thing: acknowledgement. He wants you to acknowledge him as your tribal chief. Sammy, seeing a play-in, went to go get the acknowledgement, or went to acknowledge Roman to get the help from the bloodline. But now it has come into it where he's just invested in that family, because it's a Samoan bloodline. The same bloodline of, Rikishi was in there.
I've got the image on the screen here with the 4 brothers.
Okay, yeah, I love it so much. It is so messy because we're invested in Sammy now. And last Friday, I watched that fucking Twitter clip at least 10 times where Roman's like, take that shirt off. Because Jey Uso has been beefing hard with Sammy. Jimmy likes him. Roman likes him, all that stuff. Jey is losing it. And when Roman's like, take the shirt off, Jey just ripped that shirt off immediately because he's thinking that it's time. We're going to betray him. And my little heart's like, oh boy, don't do this to me. And then he's like, you're never going to wear one of our bloodline shirts because I made you your own. And now it says honorary Oos, because that's the whole thing. It's almost like Oos, so they're going into it. And I'm like, and the way Sammy was happy, the way the crowd was reacting, everything like that, it's going to hurt like a mother, man, when they finally betray him. Because now he's in full belief as he's representing the Oos name. He's going out there. He's doing it for his boys. It's like being the one white guy invited to the cookout. You're coming in, man. That's when you go over, you're the white guy coming over the house, and the Spanish grandma calls you Nino. You're in. They invite you to play dominoes. This shit is real. It is beautiful. And I think I sent you the interview when he's talking. Was it Mackenzie or Sarah Schreiber? We calls her like generic white, and he's Arabic white. Him and the Samoans have a lot in common. I'm like, can we say this now? Can we do this kind of real humor? So here, generic white. It's the Wonder Bread equivalent in sports world. So when we go on a SmackDown, it's the stories that I'm really invested in. Of course, also I got men meat slapping meat with Gunther as my Intercontinental Champion. Whew, golly, boy, that's great. So I'm liking SmackDown, and what I'm liking from Triple H, because I've seen 2 produced pay-per-views from him. SummerSlam, which still had some residuals of Vince there, you could tell from the stories they brought him, which was fine. I thought it was above average. It was okay. I didn't hate it. But I absolutely love Clash at the Castle. I gave that like an A-. It was great because of the Gunther Sheamus match, but everything else really worked in well. And I'm looking at Extreme Rules, and that's in a couple of weeks. That's a week from Sunday. And next show is when it'll be the WWE-centric one, because I'll do my wrestling predictions. But, dude, that entire card, the thing about Extreme Rules is that each match ought to have an extreme stipulation, like no DQ or whatever. And in the last couple of years, Vince didn't do that. He only did to one. It's like having a pay-per-view, like when they called it TLC, Tables on Chairs, but they did one match. Every match, man, that's coming up for this Extreme Rules pay-per-view has a stipulation. Edge and Finn are going to do an I Quit match. There's a ladder match between Bianca and Bayley. There is going to be a strap match between Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre, which I actually think can be hella good. Vince didn't give me what I wanted. Vince told me what was good for me, like a parent. And sometimes it was bad for me, and I hated it, and I didn't want to take the Robitussin, Mom, because it tasted yucky. You didn't have to hit me with a broom when I was 5 years old in New York. Love my mommy. Hi, Mom. And then sometimes Vince knew what was good for me and gave me stuff that I liked, such as Festival of Friendship. And I'm not going to compare the Attitude Era. I'm beyond that now. To evolve in life, you can bring with you the past that you want to bring with you if it's a good fit. But if you don't allow the present to be around, you're going to both love the past and you're going to hate the past. That's how I feel about people who always compare things back to the Attitude Era. You want to watch the Attitude Era? Go watch Peacock, right? Because the problem is sometimes there's still wrestlers from the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era still around. There is. Wrestlers have a long longevity. Rey Mysterio's still kicking it, right? He's in the storyline with Dominic. Hunter is just giving me straight up what I want without insulting my intelligence yet. He will eventually. Like, NXT became a stale product eventually at some point. That's why they had to move it from Wednesdays to Tuesdays. They lost to AEW on that aspect. But damn it, man, I'm happy for it because I can look at all the opportunities. So we're not going to objectify every woman that comes in. And we're not going to have racist stereotypes. We're not always going to group up every black wrestler together. We're not going to group up every, Arabic wrestler together because that's what Vince does. And you wonder, like, there was a team named Crime Time. And mind you, I think everybody should team up who they want to team up with. In that sense, if you're stable, if you're a tag team, if you're creatively put in together.
Yeah, we got chemistry. Yeah. You
have chemistry, but it really felt purposeful. And, you're not going to get stupid things where they get caught up from NXT and then Vince shortens their names. I'll give you an example. Austin Theory is a wrestler, and for a while, Vince just calls him Theory. Vince had him labeled as Theory, identified as Theory. His merchandise wasn't a Theory, not Austin Theory. Why are we getting rid of first names? Everybody's got a first name, right? Everybody's got a first name and a last name. I think there could be marketability, and the ratings have been good. I mean, they've struggled a little bit on Raw with Monday Night Football, but that's expected, right? But here's the thing about Monday Night Football. You got it 4 or 5 months of the year. Build your product, build your consistency. You can have something for the other 8-9 months that you put on. SmackDown hit good numbers, man. Like the demo was hit well, and they had 2.5 million viewers, and a high percentage was the demos. So SmackDown is giving me the stories, Raw is giving me the wrestling, the pay-per-views are good, and I want to watch more. And that's how you kind of get people. And damn it, man, when Roman and the Bloodline betray Sammy, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna, oh no, I've never been kicked out of a group before. This is vicariously living. So that's where we're at with WWE right now. NXT, I don't care about it. Like Hunter and Sean are going to have to do a lot to make me invested. And I think it's going to take some time to get there. But that's the problem too, is that there's so much wrestling that you want to only focus your attention. Like there's a lot of football games, but Twitter and YouTube are my red zones. What do I actually want to watch? Do I want to watch the Thursday night game, the Sunday night game, or the Monday night game? That's how you have to view wrestling right now. Shifting over, I feel like there's some stuff I should talk about in New Japan, but it's not important. I'll talk about it next week if it does come to fruition, because Hikuleo chose Tonga, and I have to explain some backstories and stuff like that. That's too long. AEW last week, because we have the consequences of being a TV show on a Tuesday when wrestling happens Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, right? So that's a difficulty. The Monday stuff I can always talk to you guys about. So AEW had their kind of like TV pay-per-view special. That's why I call them AEW Grand Slam that continued from
Wednesday on Dynamite on TBS, and then Friday on TNT. Confuses me too. I understand. I watched a good portion of it. I was at the gym. I got complaints. I got grievances. You asked me what WWE has done to make me happy, Hunter. I'm going to talk to you about my problem with Tony Khan. First and foremost, I think I'm going to give a compliment to you, Tony Khan. Follow us on Twitter. I think he's been able to right the ship minorly since the CM Punk Elite debacle. Remember, people threw shit at each other, bit each other, all these other things coming in there where CM Punk had the press conference. Just a little reminder. Go listen to the other shows and podcasts to get the reminder there. The matches that are out there was Chris Jericho versus Claudio for the Ring of Honor Championship. Because remember, Tony bought Ring of Honor, so he has those titles defended there too. I don't think it's a good idea, but what do I know, right? We'll talk about that in a second. Acclaim versus Swerve and Our Glory. Those are the guys who are always doing the rapping stuff that have the great insults that I love so much. And I tell you guys to listen to it. Pac defending his AEW All-Atlantic Championship against Orange Cassidy. Women's Fatal 4-Way. Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson to finally crown an AEW World Champion. And there was stuff on Rampage that I won't go too crazy on because it's not worth my time to talk about it. So let's start with first. So Chris Jericho versus Claudio. Claudio used to be Cesaro in WWE. One of the best wrestlers out there, no matter what the promotion is. He won the Ring of Honor Championship about a month or so ago, defended like 2-3 times. Chris Jericho last week says, Claudio, I want to challenge you for that Ring of Honor Championship because I've been a world champion 7 times. I want to be a world champion 8 times. I've never been Ring of Honor champion. Jericho has been a WWE champion, WWF champion multiple times, World Heavyweight champion. He was the first inaugural AEW champion. And now he says, hell, Ring of Honor, let me get that title, go from there. So I'm like, no effing way Chris Jericho wins this, right? This is just to help give Claudio the rub of being the world champion for that promotion, even though he's a dual contract for AEW and Ring of Honor. I'm like, no way. That's just going to be there to give him the rub and also get the prestige of the title a little bit of rub because right now you're defending a title that doesn't have a show to go on a weekly basis and stuff like that. Claudio's had ass defenses. He defended against Arya Daivari. He defended against Dustin Rhodes, formerly known as Goldust. I think QT Marshall. Ain't no way Jericho wins. Jericho low blows him and then wins. Why? Like, I feel bad for Claudio, man. And I like Jericho. I like what he's doing. His feuds go on way too long because it's still part of the whole Jericho Appreciation Society and the Blackpool Combat Club. But I really think that you kind of did Claudio wrong there, Tony Khan. It makes sense, but then it doesn't make sense because if you're going to give it to Daniel Garcia down the line, who's part of your stable, he's still the pure champion. And I think some people have been like, well, you're going to have – that means a TV deal is imminent. No, it doesn't. Do you know that in the world of entertainment industry and television that you can have an announcement of a TV show, but it's not going to be put on next week, right? You have to build things, promotionals, ads, everything comes in. You at least got 6 months into it. So if your idea was that Jericho is – and if you ask Charles what's the difference between like Ring of Honor kind of style wrestling versus the other one, I would say it's more like wrestling based. And people, if they do follow the show, are going to hate me for it, but this is the only way I can explain to it without going on a 20-minute diatribe. I feel like Ring of Honor is what the Americanization of New Japan, which isn't accurate whatsoever, except for maybe a scintilla of it, but there's a lot of good breeding wrestlers that came from it. Bryan Danielson came from it. Jon Moxley came from it, obviously. Did Moxley have it? I think he did as Johnny Beagle, unless he was doing CZW. It's crazy. I feel like I'm going to my own Androverse where I'm going off to what their names were in the indies. Go down the rabbit hole. Down the rabbit hole. Seth Rollins came there when he was Tyler Black. A lot of dudes came from the Ring of Honor. Samoa Joe was stems from there. AJ Styles was. Christopher Daniels there too? Yeah, I think so. So there was a lot of cross filtering, but it was where you wanted to go before you got to the big one, right? It was the good pit stop. It was not college ball, but it was like the triple A's, man, for baseball. You know where you're getting there. You were going to head up and head out going from it. So Jericho winning, I'm like, okay, maybe he put shine. Maybe he wants to make people watch the product. It did work the first time because that's why he was the inaugural AEW champion. But I don't think a deal's imminent. And even if the deal was imminent, I'm going to tell you now, you know who's going to watch Ring of Honor? The same dudes who are watching AEW. So you can trust the title that was on Claudio to begin with to be a flagship or somebody else, as long as you give them that exposure on AEW. Wouldn't you agree? Makes no sense. It's literally the Friends spin-off TV show. We were talking pop culture all day today. Y'all chose Joey because we all like Joey, so we went with Joey. But Joey got canceled. What you should have done is go with Frasier the way that you did with Cheers. Claudio is your Fraser Crane. Damn it. And not because they're both balding, but because the fact that you went with the one that was the most interesting, that didn't have all the touch points of everybody else, of Sam and Diane and all that other shit. What if they went with fucking, like, what if Sam left the bar? And it was, or Diane comes back. I think he says a Kirstie Alley memory. So I don't want to watch a Diane spin-off. That's where they make the issue of it. So I wasn't crazy about that. Pac defeated Orange Cassidy. The Acclaimed beat Swerve and Glory. Scissor Me Daddy Ass. I just love that. I can get canceled for saying that on a show, so whatever. But I just love everything about the vibe. I've been supporting those dudes for a while. If I really had the confidence as a human being, I would buy that shirt. I do not have the confidence of a human being because I feel like there would be so much to explain. Like today I had to take photos in heels because we're doing our walk a mile. So, you know, I already had that. If I wore a Scissor Me Daddy Ass shirt, it'd just be over for me in my life. I love them. Bowens, Caster, good stuff, good on them because they were really your rags to riches is the way I'll use it because they were a startup with AEW on AEW Dark. They got over, they got the crowd, they worked on the wrestling a little bit, and now they're champions into it. I thought that was more appropriate than this random hodgepodge of dudes who are getting titles. And I like Keith Lee, and I like Swerve. I like him. I like all. I generally like all wrestlers. I'll tell you who's trash. But the Acclaimed, it was time. Some people felt like it should have been done on All Out, but New York was at Arthur Ashe. The guys were there celebrating the hometown victory. It was good. Moxley versus Brian Danielson, a.k.a. formerly Dan Bryan, two past WWE guys. They wrestled earlier this year. That's how they created Blackpool Combat Club. Moxley got the win on him. This was the finally crown an AEW World Champion because remember, it was Punk got hurt, then there was an interim, then we're going to do a title eliminator, and then Moxley won it, the interim, beat Punk to become the AEW champion, and then the Power of Chicago, Murder Capital USA, gives Punk power, and then Punk beats Moxley at the last pay-per-view, and then Punk got hurt, and of course he got suspended. So now here we go. And I was like, man, they should give it to Danielson. I think it puts a little bit of injection of a new blood in there. We know that MJF waiting in the wings, but I want to see how MJF does with a new